Excited. Excited. Excited.
What's up, dude? What is going on? Hopefully my mic is working. It ain't been working a lot lately, at least in the intro specifically, but how are you doing? Welcome into the show. It is, okay, it does work. There you go. I just checked it. Wanted to make sure my mic was on. How are you doing? Welcome in. Happy Friday. Hope you are too blessed to be stressed. Look, today's the day. Pull up if you dare, or even if you don't. Tell me what you want to talk about. Hey, I've got tweets and stuff that I could talk about. We've got different things that I could talk about, but I figured why not give y'all, the viewer, the chance to come in. You know, I always hear Ange in, they're so afraid to hear this, they're afraid to hear that, they don't want to debate. Here I am. Where you at? So who's going to pull up? I don't know. I'm looking at the poll, 21 votes. 10% says Ange out, and I'm calling and I'm pulling up. So I guess we'll find out if that's true. Because as of right now, not one person. But look, we're just getting started here. So how's everybody doing? Welcome in. I saw that video today, and I was like, man, I don't know why I haven't even put that thing in rotation on my channel. I'll be honest. So just one time, let's say what's up, dude.
Excited. Excited. Excited.
Dude. What's up, Drula? Member for 12 months. Woohoo, Ange in. Come on now, Drula. How are you doing? Asadu is what I will say to you. And there's some balloons. So how about that? Member for 12 months. That's a long time. Big up. Thank you so much for the support for that long. And for being a member, always being here, spreading the love and the joy. How about that? Asadu. Big up to Royale. Salam alaikum, y'all. Alaikum salam, my brother. How are you doing? Yogi Bear says Ange out is a meme. I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one, but yeah, it's become something. Romero is a buffoon that played with an injured foot of some sort to go play for Argentina like the 304 that he is. I don't know what is the 304? Is that, well, I'm hopeful that that's not something racist. Because I don't know what that means. Let's see. Oh, Godfrey, member for 3 months. Hello, best Spurs content creator, the GOAT. Come on, baby, talk to me. And you're talking to me real nice. There's a thumbs up. You know what? Let's see if we can get you some balloons as well. Asad. I think you have to do the peace sign and say Asad. And then the balloons will pop up for you. How are you doing? I don't know why this didn't get started either, but big up Moondog. Always good to see Mr. Moondog in the house. How are you doing? Says, hi, Jacob. Hope you and the family are well. Big up Moondog. I am blessed. The family's blessed. We are blessed. So how about that? And thank you so much for for being here. Hopefully you and the little Moondog are doing well also. Charlie, I believe if I remember the name correctly, Charlie Moondog. So big up to you, brother. Good to see you back in the house. Hopefully you're all going to have a good start to your weekend and a fantastic weekend. I'll be honest. People said, Jacob, how do you feel not seeing your Tottenham Hotspur play over the weekend? And I'll be honest, there's really only one video I can play. Now, it's a long video, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. Because I think you'll understand my message within a few months, very shortly after I run this. So, yeah, man, I hate not having a Tottenham game to look forward to, I'll be honest. And there's only one way that I feel at this, I would say at this moment, but I'm going to say at every moment, any moment really, that I don't get to watch Tottenham play at the weekend. And that goes on for about another 20-ish seconds or so, but I think you get the idea. I need you now. I'm a little drunk. I'm calling you on the phone, Tottenham Hotspur. And I need you now, baby. I miss you. Where did you go, Tottenham? I need you back in my life. I know everyone's wham about it, but I'm not. I love you, baby. Come on home. Daddy misses you. You know what? You know how else it feels? So I'm somewhere between broken-hearted, lover by the sea, and also an angry beer belly, shirtless man in the wind, howling like a drunken wolf, if I could say that. Anyway, I'll keep saying hello to the chat while we wait for somebody to pull up here. James Joris can't make it tonight, but we'll catch on the replay. Big up James Joris every single time. Good to see you in the house, buddy. Eugene, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Yo, 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 Spurs GCTV. Big up to you, brother. Jonathan G, good morning, all. Good morning to you, Jonathan. I believe you took out your last name. Maybe I'm going to be a little conceited here. Maybe because I kept butchering it and you don't want me to try and read it. But big up Jonathan. I believe the newest member of the Lovers Lane, if I'm not mistaken. Also, last night someone signed up for the Patreon. So big up to whoever that was, Jeremy. Jeremy, I thought it was my brother, but the last name is not the same as mine. Oh, shit, you're right. In order for anyone to pull up, I'd actually need to post the link. That's a good point, Eugene. That's a very good point. He said a link. I'm over here. Who's going to pull up? Why are you scared? And I ain't even put the damn link in the thing. There we go. I pinned it. It's pinned in the chat. No reason. All right. Now no one can be afraid. No one can be afraid to call in. Good morning, Tony D. How are you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Big up Drula, as always. Ravi's in the house. Jacob, you sounded like Beavis and Butthead the way you started laughing. Which time? Was it right now or I don't know. I haven't seen Beavis and Butthead, man. That's a whole bunch of nostalgia. Oh, we've got two people popping up into the back. Well, let me just ZX. Hello to you. Hello, Yogi Bear. I already said hello. Rodders is here. Hey, bro. How is U.S. Soccer for World Cup doing? We won last night, 1-0. So there was that. Yes, I will be watching the Jake Paul Tyson fight after this. Big up Daniel Coys. Good to see you in the house. Jordan, hello. Good evening, Jordan. How are you doing? You want more tattoos every time you watch me go live? Hey, don't do it. Don't use me. I always say don't listen to me. Don't do what I say. Don't do anything I say other than be good to yourself and be good to people. Stay blessed, stay fresh, all that fun stuff. Outside of that, don't do what I do. But there's the link to call in. I've already got two people in the back, so you know what? I ain't even gonna do a one-on-one. You know, we're just gonna bring them on out. What's up, Eugene? What's up, Jonathan? Both first-time callers, however, familiar names. And I'm gonna say first time to see y'all's faces as well, though.
What's up, dude? How's it going? Good to be on, man.
Good to have you on. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good Friday. Okay. What's up, Jonathan? Nice to meet you.
Good morning, guys. Nice and bright and early here in Sydney. Actually, it's not early. It's 10 a.m. But I just got out of bed not long ago. Got to get this main fixed up today. But
good morning.
It is what it is. We're all good. We're all blessed. It's a beautiful day.
Here you go. That's for you, buddy. Good morning. There you go. We stay on brand here.
There you go.
You know, I've had that kangaroo since I was like 2 years old. So really, that's
meant to be, Jacob. Meant to be, bro.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It was always meant to be. I was destined to get in contact with more people from Australia, and I've been very fortunate too. But speaking of the big man from Australia, Eugene, I'll go to you first. Where are you at? Ange in, Ange out. Ange is too late to apologize.
I mean, for the purposes of this show, I can play both sides. So but personally, I'm Ange in. The reason is, and I've been on many shows, said the same thing. I want to give every manager at least 2 years to see what they can do. And I'll judge Ange at the end of this year. As I said before, league to me doesn't matter if we don't win. Top 4 doesn't matter as much. I want to win a cup. And I want to see some improvement from year to year. My biggest issue is the players. We've had this soft underbelly for years and years under every single manager. There are no leaders on the team. And you see the inconsistency from game to game. We play well in big games against Ipswich. We don't do anything. I'm just tired of the players downing tools, and just the lack of leadership is just it's getting so.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Jonathan, I'll ask you, I'll just open the same question. Where are you at with Ange? Just so I know from your personal standpoint, where are you with Ange? What do you see things? I agree with Eugene. Yeah, Eugene, I'm assuming this is Eugene S. from the chat,
Yep.
correct? So, you know how I feel about it. You've heard me
For
talking
sure.
in ad nauseum about Ange Postecoglou. But Jonathan, what about you? Where are you at with the big man? Uh-oh, broke up a little bit.
No, you're right, man. You got me all good.
Yeah, I think there's just like a second or two of lag.
That's okay. Look, first of all, I'll just say I'm not a Tottenham fan, but I've got a soft spot for them since Ange has joined the club. But I don't have a Premier League team at all. I'm a Inter Milan fan, so yes, straight out of Mo's book. I'm a pizza topping boy, but it is
I'm
what
about
it
to go
is.
get
It's
my
all good.
Zlatan shirt on.
But
Hang on.
look, there we go. Let's go. Look, I just wanted to. I hate all the hate against Ange, because personally, being Australian and seeing what he's done in our league and then for our national team before he moved on to broader pastures. Look, he's just he's honestly, I think he's honestly misunderstood with a lot of the people that don't know a bit more in depth about tactics and that type of stuff and what he's trying to achieve. Now, I don't know I'm not going to get into it into big detail, and you can probably help me out with a bit more history about Tottenham and that. But he does have that winning mentality. And the thing why he worked here in our league and again for our national team is purely for the fact that every player bought into his system, and he had the clubs that he was with when he was here fully backed him to whatever he needed to do to get his system to work in place. So looking from the outside as to what's happening in Tottenham, the fact that you've got Daniel Levy giving him players, but probably not to the fullest content of what he needs to implement everything 100%. I feel like, yes, you're buying, but you're buying medium to lower tier. For Ange's system to work 100%, you need to get that medium to upper tier of caliber of players for everything to work 100%. Again, not dissing on your club or the players that you have, but there is room for improvement there.
No, absolutely. I think that that's part of the main issue that I've seen anyway. Is it just seems like a problem that Tottenham have had before Ange, and then now that it's continuing to show its face, people are like, "Oh, Ange, you jerk!" And to me, I just never really bought into that notion. But again, that's why I try and do these kinds of shows. Like Zapur said, he says, "Has anyone pulled up Ange out?" No, they haven't. We'll see. We're only 15 minutes in, so there's still chance for any of the Ange out people to call in. Will they? I don't know. But look, big up everybody in the chat. Make sure you are hitting the like and everything. Eugene, I want to ask you. So I think we're in agreement then. The second half of Brighton, the full 90 versus Crystal Palace, and then obviously we could say the full 90 versus Ipswich as well, comfortably. Those three times for me is when Ange has not really been the problem, but people have said it's his fault that he didn't motivate the players. Where are you at in that notion? How much of it do you... I've said on record, I don't want my manager to act like a goddamn cheerleader, pom-poms and a skirt flying and shit. I don't need that because he gave it to him all week. So why is on the big day does he have to stand there and there's something else that Paul says, which I agree with. If you require a manager on the touchline dancing around and gesturing and telling you what to do, then there's already a problem there. And I kind of agree with that. I don't like to be micromanaged. I always look to the people to my left and my right who are in the mud with me. You help me pull out of this. Now, we don't have that. Romero's let me down continually. But is it Ange's fault when we capitulate mentality-wise? Is it? Where do you see it?
Look, I've played sports. I watched sports all my life. Every successful team, every great team that won, they've had players who held each other accountable in the locker room, in the dressing room, whatever. I have never seen one great team that won where a manager or a coach was the cheerleader and had to motivate the players every single game, right? And again, it goes back to the players that we have. They don't hold each other accountable. We don't have captains who do that. On the other hand, so I agree with you where I feel like players inside the dressing room have to hold each other accountable. On the other hand, my issue with Ange is he does sometimes is too rigid with his philosophy. He obviously does not have the players necessary for him to play his style every single game. For example, against Man U or Villa, teams, when they go at us, we do well, right? It's an open game. We hit them on the counter. We have possession. We do well. Against the low blocks, against lower teams, we don't do well. And I feel like Ange should be doing perhaps more to adapt to those situations. Whether it's the tactics, whether it's the players that cannot break the low block, that's a different conversation. But I feel like our inconsistency, right? We do well against big teams. We don't do well against smaller teams. And the question is whether that inconsistency is strictly on the players, which I'm leaning towards, or whether Ange can do more to adjust. What those adjustments are, I'm not sure, but I just feel like there has to be something that he can do tactically in those games, if that makes sense.
You know, I do agree, and to a standpoint, I think, excuse me, I think he, and to a degree, I think he has shown flexibility and a lack of rigidness at times. I mean, at halftime, pulling off Madison for Sarr. He did it the following game at halftime for another player. So then we start thinking, oh, at halftime, now that's a legitimate chance we could see a player who's not doing well so far get the hell off the pitch. And that's something we've all asked for. But now, in regards to his tactics and how we set up, like I've seen us start off playing a certain way and then tactically look different. Now, I've never been a Jose Mourinho on the whiteboard, you know, or Pep Guardiola, you know, the meme where he's moving all the pieces around with the orchestral music. But from my amateur eye, our fullbacks are doing different tasks. Our wingers are starting to do different tasks. Sonny drifts centrally. Kulu's kind of all over the... So it's like, we do change. And it's, again, I think that some of that is given to the players as a long leash. Like, this is what I want you to do. And within those confines, you could do all these things. And as it starts playing out, then they start going into that. What I like is I haven't seen as much of this horseshoe hotspur that we saw a lot last year. And we saw a little bit in the beginning of this season, but I haven't seen that. So to me, it seems like there was a point that Jonathan said that, you know, when he's been successful, it's because all the players buy in. And it's like, when it looks like the players are all bought in, we look fantastic. But for some fucking reason, before an international break versus a lower 10, lower 15 side, these players get bullied physically from the minute one. And then it starts like, oh, well, why isn't the ref calling it our way kind of a thing? And that happened with Crystal Palace. That happened with Ipswich. Exactly, John. That's the mentality of these players. And big up Sean Hurl for the super chat. Says we need disciples, not converts at Ange Ball. THFC. Come on. Big up Sean Hurl. And I agree with the comment that's right above it from Chris Peters. Says players down tool before internationals. Romero the most. Romero did leave the international, versus Argentina last night. He left with an injury at halftime. I believe that
crazy.
Same foot injury that we are holding him out for.
How can Spurs doctors just let Romero go play for Argentina? If you look at Arsenal, they held everybody back. Like, it makes no sense to me. Of all people, Romero with his injury, if we lose him and Van der Ven, we're done. We don't have two center backs that can play consistently. Like, boggles my mind. It's crazy. Why would you just
Eugene, can I ask you purely on that point? Sorry. Eugene, can I ask specifically just on that point, what you've mentioned, just with the Arsenal players, they probably still feel that they've got a bigger objective to achieve by the end of the season. Whether you guys at Tottenham, maybe they're thinking, you know what, let's just go for top four and vibes.
Because this club, that's a very good point, because this club builds that. Eric Dyer had been here for damn near 10 years, and he went on camera saying how shit we were, and we don't win, and he's laughing about it with Dave the Predator Portnoy. That is a culture in this fucking club. And Ange came into it and said, let me try and fix this. And everyone got pissed when he was like, why are you wanting me to lose versus City last year? That was a what the hell is this? I'm trying to change this fucking weird cuck mentality that is at this club. This passive, we got our money, my feet are up, and now there's no pressure because the only expectation is to do decent in the league. Fuck all the cups because we ain't won one since 2008. So that breeds years and years. That breeds a culture of this fucking loser mentality. And we see it rear its head when we had Jose, who's a serial winner. Motherfucker can't stop winning. Conte, serial winner. The same things happen with them because these players, this club, it breeds that mentality. But apparently, that's supposed to be on Ange?
Yeah. So what
Chris Peters, pull up. You said it's on Ange. I want to hear how it's on Ange. The link is there. I'll put it in the chat again. Anybody, please tell me how this is Ange's fault.
So just another thing with Ange, guys, again, just to give you guys, I'm not sure if you're aware a bit more of his background, but when his first top tier manager flight here in our league, in the A League, he was coaching a team, Brisbane Roar. They went, I think it was 45 games or something unbeaten over 18 months unbeaten. They won the league 2 years in a row, and we're in a salary cap system league, very similar to the MLS, I believe. So he's done that. Then he got head picked to go to the second biggest club here, Melbourne Victory, and then he got scouted to do our top tier, our national team. At that point, the reason why he left, he won the Asian Cup with our country, which we'd never done before. We're one of the medium level teams in Asia. That being the case, he left Australia. He left our national team to go to Japan because of the infighting he had against the Australian the Australian FFA Australia.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That being the case, I do feel like what I'm seeing in his responses in press conferences and what he's starting to go through at Tottenham, I feel like he's got one hand tied behind his back. Now, the thing is, you keep poking the bear for so long, he's going to get to a point where he's like, you know what, guys, I've done what I can. I do feel like he's starting to get, like he said at the beginning of the season, second year, he wins. Like, if he doesn't win something this year, I get it. It's a lot to the players and that as well. But he's not on the pitch. There's only so much he can actually do. If your players don't step up and don't want to step up, he'll be like, you know what? Thanks, guys. I've done my best, but I'm going somewhere where at least I can implement 100% to what I am, because I don't feel like.
Or maybe at least the fans would be fucking grateful for a manager willing to take a shit club from the mud and try to fix them. And I've always seen him as this transitional manager, a guy to come in. He's not going to be here forever. He's said it. He's not going to stay here for that long. We signed him 4 years, and anytime we've signed a manager for more than 2, they've never lived out that contract. So when he signed the 4, I was like, I think that we're in this phase where maybe we're actually going to give the keys to a guy to try and instill something different here, because what we've been doing is clearly not worked. And that's where I fall into this line. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I used to be offended at the thought of Ange walking away from Tottenham, but I wouldn't be surprised, because if I was him and I heard at 1% of all the whiny bitchy fans moaning every day on Twitter and YouTube especially, like, you just 1% of that would have been like, you ungrateful fucks. I'm here trying to fix your shit club who doesn't win anything. And everyone agreed with Conte last year. We're losers. We don't win. It's the mentality here. You can change it to manager, but you can't change it to Tottenham. And guess what? We changed the manager, and it looks like we are trying to change the Tottenham. But as soon as it's like that little bit of uncomfortability, it's all thrown in the air. I go back to a few things. Arsenal and Newcastle, those double losses in the Premier League. They suck, they hurt. But there was 35 fucking chances in those two in 180 minutes. 35. And one went in off of a butt from Dan Burn. It wasn't a butt, but I like to say a butt goal. It was an own goal from Dan Burn. Is that Ange, who said, hey, we're going to set you up to get in all these dangerous positions, to have all these chances, but don't fucking hit the target. And if you do hit the target, make sure you shoot it right at the keeper. No, it's these players with a little bit of pressure. St. James away has always been a fucking problem for us. And I mean, we had the most defensive manager there, and we broke a record for how quickly we conceded 5 goals or some shit. So it's, I see these continual problems. It's like, oh, it's Ange's fault. It's like the best cheap metaphor.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Jake, if you don't mind. And I was gonna say just another point, what you're saying about your fans and that too. Like, what was the last game of last season? When you were supposed to, weren't all your fans crying out to lose against someone? So
Against City, because we
Manchester
wanted
City
to.
would have won the league.
Yeah.
Like that mentality. How can you want your? I get it. Your rivals, this and that. I totally get it. I don't want to lose to my rivals. I don't want my rivals winning in that too. I want my team to win more than to lose a game. Like, I'm sorry, man. That's just a fact of a winning mentality. I would have thought. How could you not? How could you want a loss so your rivals don't win? Who cares, man? Be better yourself. Don't worry about your rivals.
Yeah, that's like being upset with the dude at school that you don't like because now all of a sudden he started working out and got in good shape. Well, we could too, you know? And instead of being like, yeah, feed him donuts, how about we just fucking go to the gym and focus on ourselves? And that's how I kind of saw it as well. But I will admit, the week leading up to, I would joke around and be like, yeah, play the kids because fuck, you know, I love bantering Arsenal fans. But it was literally watching our team walk out of the tunnel. I was like, fuck, what the fuck was I thinking all week? You know what I mean? It's like the dudes who are like gonna get married and then they're like, oh shit, this actually isn't the girl of my dreams. She's the woman of my nightmares. And they like back out. It's like, it was like that for me because I saw the players, I saw them wearing the shirt. And honestly, it was just like, how the fuck am I going to root for us to lose today? What is who? And then it just dawned on me, like, who gives a fuck what Arsenal do with their season? Because it has nothing to do with us. We played them twice. Those were our chances to impact their fucking season. And we only got 1 point. So that's where I would fix up rather than saying, oh, if we bend over for this one, we're going to help out. No, fuck that. It's just cuck mentality. And that's why I often refer to Spurs fans as the dude in the corner of the room with a sheet over their head. Like, you think I don't see you, but I know you're there. And I know the sheets to pretend like, oh, you don't see me, but I know you're there, you weirdo, come out from the corner. But speaking of, we've got, well, not actually speaking, that's a shit segue because this is the first time he's on the channel. And how could that was a shit segue. So actually, let me play a clip to segue because I'm so shit at segueing.
I saw it. I saw it. I saw it.
What's up, Omar? Welcome to the channel, my friend.
Hey, what's up, Jordan? What's going on, Jacob?
How are you, man?
Hey, man. Doing well, man. What's going on with you?
Just, you know, an international break where we just lost right before it. So all the Spurs fans get to say it's Ange's fault, yada, yada. I don't know. I know you're a Barcelona fan. For those people who don't know, this is Omar. He's got his own YouTube channel. I am subscribed as well. You can find him on a lot of different channels. He's called in at Football Heritage, Northside. So I've seen you all over the place. You're a Barcelona fan. Now, I often call them Fartalonia, so you're going to have to excuse me if I have immature jabs at things. That's just my style because, you know, when you're down here trying to get up, you're grasping at anything that you can grab. So that's kind of what I do. So, Omar, this show was made because I wanted to get. I always hear from the wham, the Ange out, the fucking Chicken Little, sky is falling, bed sheet over my head fan base. They always say Angers are too afraid of the debate. They don't want the facts. Well, here the fuck I am, and I'm just wondering who's got facts for me. Where are the facts? Who's going to convince me why Ange is such a fucking bad problem? Because I have yet to be convinced, but apparently it's something so simplistic to understand. So Omar, Jonathan, you got to go? Or are you talking to someone?
Yeah, I gotta go, guys. Yeah, no. I was talking to someone, but yeah, I gotta head out, guys. But thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, man.
Love your channel.
Fantastic.
Everyone, like the video, subscribe, and yeah, man, looking more to catching up soon. Take care, everyone. Have a beautiful, blessed day. God bless all. Take care.
Hey, big up, Jonathan, man. Great call. Love to see, man, from down under. He's going to start the rest of his day. It was just past 10 a.m. over there, 10:30 in the morning. So big up to you. Living in the future. Give me the lottery numbers.
I'll let you know. See you, boys. Bye.
Bye-bye. And as one leaves, another one enters. It's Mike Doss.
Yo.
Hey, what's going on,
Hello.
Yo. What's going on, Jacob? How are you?
Hey, big up. Well, we'll actually talk to you on the last one. So I think I know generally your thoughts, Mike. But Omar, I actually have no idea where you are. Are you going to convince me Ange out or no?
Look, I'll say this, right? From just a non-neutral fan point of view, I would say this about Tottenham, right? I feel like after the last few years, having Conte, Mourinho, that style of football, it wasn't really entertaining to watch. And at the end of the day, there was no trophies at the end of it, right? So, yeah. So at the end of the day, you kind of look at it and you're like, listen, if we're not winning trophies, at least let's play some entertaining football or something like that. And I feel like that's what Ange kind of brought back when he became the manager, right? The style of play was you guys were playing high attacking, high pressure, high intensive football. But I would say this about Ange's style of football is that as much as it has its pros, it has its cons as well, where you have the moments when against certain teams, that style of high line, gung-ho kind of football is going to work. You score plenty amount of goals. It will look entertaining. It will look beautiful. But then when you play against a team that has a kind of a compact way of playing, they have a kind of way to kind of like, break down that high line kind of football. You get games like this. You get the games like Ipswich. You get the games like Crystal Palace, where on paper you guys should have won, but you didn't, right? And I kind of look at your season like that, unfortunately for you, Jacob, where you're going to have moments like this where you will be playing well, but then also you have moments when you will be also having moments like this against Ipswich, right? And when I look at that, for me, I'm like, what is Spurs' objective this season? Are you guys more interested in winning a trophy or getting top four? Now, if the idea is we're trying to get a trophy, okay, then you're in the Carabao Cup, right? I think that you should take that cup seriously, try to take the FA Cup seriously, or any of those stuff, right? And listen, if Ange wins a trophy, he's already done better than most of your managers you've had for a decade. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I would say this about Ange. The biggest criticism I'll give about Ange is I think that when it comes to Ange, it's just plan A or bust. You understand what I'm saying, right? And I feel like maybe that's why a lot of Ange others are kind of like that, where they're like, it's just one way with this guy. There's no plan B to this when plan A doesn't work, right? And I was saying this about my team yesterday when I was doing a roundup on my channel about Hansi Flick, where I was like, we are playing so good, but anyone who doesn't watch Barcelona will not tell you the amount of times that the opponent is caught offside. And the problem with being that kind of team that is always trying to play that high line is that when you play against certain teams that know how to play against that high line, you're going to be in trouble, right? So I feel like that's where it is with Spurs. I feel like certain teams are beginning to understand how to play against Spurs' high line. And I think that Ange needs to just find a plan B if something like that happens. But I still do believe that, he's done a good job. And that, at the end of the day, he's still in a trophy. He's still going for the trophy, right? He's in you guys
technically in all four competitions as it stands.
Exactly.
Can I jump in real quick? Sorry. Unless because you haven't talked yet, but just one sec. So Omar, to your point, it makes sense, but manager's job is to put the players in position to succeed. If you look at 90% of our games, the players are in those positions. They just can't fucking cross the ball. We only have Poirot who can cross the ball. That's it. The players are there. They're just not good enough to finish, right? Solanke does not get service. We got a striker who led, I believe, the league in headed goals last year, but nobody can cross the ball to him, right? So you can talk about our transfer business, but Ange, 99% of the time, he puts the players in position to succeed. We just cannot execute. So, of course, you can say, well, he should have done this or done that, but we're so inconsistent because sometimes the shots that should be going in are not going in because the quality just isn't there. And that's the biggest issue. And just my last point, all the frustration, Ange out. I feel like all the match going fans, they're paying the highest fees in Europe, right, to go to the games. And they haven't seen a trophy in 13, 14 years. They've seen crap football for 24 years. So now a manager is an easy scapegoat, right? They, of course, they blame Jose, Conte, Ange, because they're frustrated that they're paying all these high prices, but we don't bring anybody good in. If you look at our transfer windows, Eze, we didn't get him. Neto, we didn't bring him in. We're bringing in for the resale value and average players, right? We don't pay high wages. So on one hand, you're paying the highest prices in Europe, but the club doesn't bring anybody else good in. You have a manager and a coach with tactics that can win, but the players are not good enough to execute. So that's why the fans are pissed off. Like, hey, like, I know the season tickets are £3,000, right, for Tottenham for every seat. But then if you look at Archie Gray and Bergvall and whoever else, it's like, hey, the kids are great, but I want top players. Nico Williams, Eze, right, Neto at least. But those type of players are not coming in because we don't pay wages. So that's the issue. A rant over.
Mike Doss, I welcomed you in, and then I've just watched you nod with that beautiful mustache of yours. What are your thoughts? Liverpool fan, for those of you who don't know Mike Doss, he's a Liverpool fan. You can catch him on American. Yeah, for now. Wait till we catch that bald Netherlands fraud.
Yeah,
We're
sure.
take the pancakes off him. But look, what are your thoughts on basically what Omar and Eugene have said? And then also I heard you had some stats for me.
Yeah, listen, I think both of them have made decent points. Both of you guys have made good points. But I think that it overlooks the actual problem at the club, and that's the fans. It's that simple. Like, I could be an asshole and I could just go at every single Tottenham fan, but they already do that to themselves. So why would I, right? But ultimately, if we're just going to try to take an objective look, first lens, looking at the table alone, not even looking at games. 23 goals scored, 13 goals conceded, right? That's the second best goal difference in the Premier League. That's one more goal than Manchester City. That's equal amount of goals conceded as Manchester City. So just looking at the table alone, it's an anomaly that you're sitting at 16 points and Manchester City is sitting at 23 points. Now, if we go one step further into the table, you're 3 points behind fifth place. Is there a single Tottenham fan on the planet who genuinely in their heart believes that Tottenham is better than Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester City? If so, you need to question yourself, because where you are on the table is indicative of where I believe you should be, 3 points off of fifth place. Now, it's unfortunate that this season, between 13th place and fourth place, there's a differential of 4 points. Now, you can look at the table and say, we're sitting 10th, and you can act like the world's on fire, or you could try to approach the situation with some sort of top-down perspective and say that it's week 11, and where you are on the table, numbers-wise, doesn't matter. Who cares if you're 10th place? You're 3 points off of fifth, which ultimately your goal should be getting
third. Because if
my bad. Sorry. You're right. Technically third place, because Chelsea, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, and Brighton are all on 19. And you're at 16, right? So ultimately, you're only 3 points behind the highest possible position that I see Tottenham in this season, which is fourth place. Right now, maybe we can make the argument that Arsenal might fall off. I don't know. I'm not here to argue against Arsenal. But generally speaking, I think that that's a pretty fair assessment. Tottenham competing for fourth place to get into Champions League. Now, with the Carabao Cup and the Europa League, I mean, you're sitting pretty well in the Europa League. It's looking like you will move in the top 8 and not have to play that round of 32. You're in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup. I believe that's a home game, if I'm not mistaken.
And Spurs fans are all like, "Oh, he'll be gone by Christmas. I hope he's gone by January." We have a quarterfinal to play.
FA Cup hasn't even started yet. But again, like the only thing that I would say is that I hear all of your complaints about the individual players, but what more do you want? Do you want Tottenham to be sitting on 30 goals scored this season? Because you already have 23, which is 2 more than Liverpool, and I'm sitting at 28 points, right? So how many goals do you need these players to score in order for 100. You to start to say exactly, right? So I think it's a perspective thing. I think at times your players lack focus 100%. Like Ipswich, like that second goal, I mean, that
Romero watching dude run around, bro. Dude, go get the motherfucker.
Jacob, not even that. It turns from a Tottenham attack to an Ipswich, capitulation of your defense within 5 seconds. Like, that's a huge problem. I think that you have lapses in certain games, but at the same time, if you were to have finished your dinner, I think that things would have changed. If you don't concede first in a lot of these games, I think it changes. All I'm saying is that I think that in game week 11, given what the table is and how crazy it is right now, I mean, dude, between 3rd and 13th, 4 points. through 11 games. That's nuts, right? And where you are is a statistical anomaly based on what you have outputted. To blame Ange is like it's insane to me, because you guys complain about your players, then you complain about the system, then you complain about the high line, then you complain about Daniel Levy, then you complain about Ange. It's like, what is there that you don't complain about? And ultimately, it isn't like you're not in that bad of a spot. You're sitting 16 points, you know, like.
And you know what?
disagree, Mike.
Just to add to your point, Mike, right? Yes, there's a lot of fans who do complain about a lot of things, but I'll say this about certain things, right? When it comes to Tottenham, I think for me, and listen, you know, Jacob, you're here, Eugene, you're here. You guys can disagree. I think that for me, the biggest problem with Tottenham is the owners. You understand what I'm saying? Because they always do the bare minimum, right? And everyone is kind of surprised when they're not doing what they, you know, they're kind of surprised when the club is now going to the next level. Like, you think about it, from like the earliest that I really understood this was under Poch, right? When you guys went for the league title in 2015, 2016, 2017, you finished second. You kind of looked at it and you were like, okay, you know, once they sign some other key players,
But what's
they
the standard?
they have
What is the standard that you're holding the club to? Because if you haven't won anything and you're not winning anything, then what is this standard of winning? Like, you can't set the standard of winning until you win something. So until you win something, why are you sitting here acting like trophies are the standard? Because ultimately, it's not at Tottenham.
I understand, but I want you to understand. Around that time, you remember this, Mike's, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
at that time, Tottenham were a very, very attractive club. They could be able to buy certain players. I'm not saying they will be able to attract the best players in the world, right? But you could see that they were going to the right direction, right? And sometimes when a club is going to the right direction, right, some players might be attracted to that. That's why you guys were able to, remember around 2018, you guys got in Van Dijk and Alisson and all those players, right? Because there was a time when you guys were not able to sign some of these players who were in high demand. But when you were under Klopp, when it seemed like you guys were slowly progressing and actually going up, right? You started seeing players slowly starting looking at that Liverpool team and saying, what is Klopp actually building?
But hold
over
on,
there?
hold on, because we okay. The only attractive signings that I would say that we made that made the push were Alisson and Van Dijk. The rest of them were not attractive. Like, Mohamed Salah was not even a shadow of what he turned into at Liverpool. At AS Roma. Roberto Firmino, very much the same thing. Sadio Mane, just another player from Southampton. Virgil van Dijk was like the only real one that I would say, like, oh my God, like, that's a lure.
But is the thing, you guys, but my point is, you guys actually went in for it, right? The fact is, around that time, at that time, your defense was actually not good. And buying Van Dijk actually changed a lot, right? Buying a goalkeeper like of Alisson's level, because at that time, Karius was not doing well. Right,
he
so
lost
bringing in Alisson, exactly, right. So you guys went and dealt with the problems of why you guys didn't perform in the 17-18 season, why you guys lost the Champions League final, and why you didn't. And then what happened? The following 18-19 season, you guys went and challenged for the league. My point is, at the end of the day, Tottenham were very similar. Tottenham, when they were lucky to have like so many great players coming at the club around the same time, right? You had Kane coming up and literally just breaking into the scene, right? You had a player like Dele Alli, who came from MK Dons, came in and literally started playing well, right? Eriksen was a player who was a good player. People knew he was a good player, but he went to another level when Poch was there, right? Musa Dembele was a very good player,
and Modric. They had
but you know those players had already gone by the time Pochettino.
Clint Dempsey. No, let's not forget.
Of course. But these are players that were there before Pochettino. I'm talking about the Pochettino team that were challenging for the league, right? Now, my point is,
Clint Dempsey was there. He was there before.
Yeah, so my point is, right? My point is, right, at the end of the day, around that time, for many Spurs fans who want to see the club win trophies, they were kind of looking at it and saying, well, why is it that, we don't actually like get it done at the end, right? Because we seem to always be close, but always no cigars at the end of the season, right? And the issue is, and this is where I will need to, this is why I said sometimes some of these fans who want to see the club win trophies, they need to look at the owners, because you have to realize the owners don't really care much about winning. They only care about the club being in a certain area in the table, right? The fact that you guys they challenged for the league 2 seasons in a row, the amount of money they got for being in the Champions League was the reason why, at the end of the day, Daniel Levy didn't actually go on and actually spend the ridiculous amount of money that would have helped them possibly challenge for the league the season after. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why that team eventually fell off. And it's the same reason, if you think about it. In this in that Mourinho season, when you guys did the Carabao Cup final against City, we know that when it comes to Mourinho and cup finals, it doesn't matter who it is. In a 90-minute game, Mourinho can beat anyone. You understand what I'm saying, right? And the fact that Mourinho got sacked literally right before they were supposed to play in a final, for me, told me everything about Daniel Levy and the Spurs owners, which is that trophies don't really matter. What matters is where they are in the table. And I feel like that's the same thing with Ange. If Ange doesn't get Europe this season, that's the only way he's going to get sacked. If he gets top 4 and maybe gets a Carabao Cup, that's it. He's safe no matter what happens. So some of these fans who are complaining, it's going to be the same thing.
Let me jump in real quick, Mike. Based on what you said before, just going back to Ange and the standings and all the metrics and stats, right? If you look at the goals conceded and goals scored, the standings right now don't matter. What the fans are angry about is that we lost to 2 winless clubs. We lost to Palace, we lost to Ipswich, right?
Yeah.
We scored 4 against Everton, great, right? That inflates all the stats and the numbers for the goals scored. We scored 4 against Villa. When we do well, we blow teams away. But the frustration is we don't beat teams that we're supposed to. So it's not even about where we're in the standings. Arsenal is struggling, City's struggling.
But who says that, though?
Have an impact on where we are. What matters is we lose to teams that we're supposed to beat. That's what the issue is.
Okay, but so my challenging remark would be, who says that you're supposed to beat them? Like in my mind, when I look at a team that's chasing 4th place, those kind of results can happen. Like it's not it's not the same thing as a Liverpool losing or a Manchester City or an Arsenal losing to Ipswich Town. It's just not. Like it's not a surefire, you absolutely must win this game. Liverpool struggled in the first half against Ipswich on the first game of the season. They were playing us off the park. Then we had to make all these
I've been telling everybody Ipswich at home is no fucking joking matter now.
Hold on. Then we had to change, and we got the job done, right? And having a goalkeeper on the level of Allison who can make that one-on-one save to keep it 0-0 is very important, right? But ultimately, that's a frame of mind thing. Like, yes, I get it. Like, you're a fan. No reason why you should ever allow Ipswich to beat you, but it's not like something that's just an out-and-out impossibility for a team that's chasing 4th place, especially in a league where last season the difference between 3rd and 4th was 18 points. Like, we're not talking about a small margin here in terms of where this league is at and where it's been at over the last, few seasons of the separation between the top 3 and then the 4th place. And it's very unfortunate that, throughout the history of time, it's the top 4 that get in. Hopefully this season it's the top 5, and the English teams do well enough in Europe to secure that 5th team, because I think it's a little bit unfair, especially when 3 teams are so clearly far ahead of everybody. But like, these results can happen for a team that's chasing 4th place.
I agree with you. They can happen. If you look at the isolated game, sure, anybody can lose to anybody on their day. But if you look at Ipswich, if you look at Palace in the same of few weeks,
plenty of chances to win.
Capitulation at Brighton, and it's the history of the Spurs. Every single year, under every manager, we lose these games, right? And this year, we lost 6 games. If you take away the first 10 games of last year that Ange won, the form has been terrible, right? We are 12th or 13th. Again, I hate that stat, but I'm playing devil's advocate.
So are you counting that 6 real quick, Eugene? Were you counting that 6 loss as the one to Galatasaray away?
Is it 5 or 6?
We've lost 5 in the league, and we've lost once in Europa.
Crazy though. But even 5, like
one of those is also to Arsenal, who, like, let's be honest, you don't have any business. You don't have any business winning. So in reality, it's really more like 4, right?
But again, it's not even about each individual game. It's we lost, and if you look at the draw to Leicester, that's another game, right? It's
Yeah,
it's a
for
pattern,
sure. You should,
right?
you
It's
should, you
not
should be doing that.
if we lose this one game to Ipswich, you know what? It is what it is. It's all good. It happens. But we've been dropping points this whole season to teams that we should be winning. So it's just a bigger picture, right? It's not just this one game.
So where do you? Okay, so you're at 16 points, and third place is at 19 points. Where do you think that Tottenham should be then? Right now, game week 11.
I mean, before the season, I said we'll finish sixth. I mean, right now, we should, just given how everybody is struggling, we should be second or third. But again, to me, I don't even care about the standings. To me, again, I'd rather finish 12th and win a cup.
I get that.
Like,
Oh yeah, you know what?
I
That
don't
is like a
believe-
good point. You know what's funny, right? There was a lot of Tottenham fans who actually said the same thing you're saying, Eugene. So it's crazy to me how some of these same fans now are complaining the way they are. Because I thought winning a trophy was what you guys were looking at this season, right? You guys wanted to see the club win, because that's why Ange came out and said, "I always win trophies in my second season." Because a lot of the fans,
It isn't even that, Omar. It's just more like there's not a single Spurs fan on the planet who genuinely in their heart believes that you can win the Premier League this season, right? So automatically the Premier League table shouldn't even be the standard. Like that should not be the metric.
Because
that you're looking
Mike,
at.
last year after 11, no one was saying, "Oh, we're finishing top 2."
Exactly. So you're sitting at the top of, I mean, it doesn't matter if you lost to Galatasaray. You're sitting towards the top. You're in the top 8 of the Europa League. You're in the quarterfinal of a Carabao Cup. Like, based on what metric is Ange somehow failing? That you're 3 points behind third? Like, that's just what I don't understand. Like, I get everyone's, like, you should definitely complain if the manager's being stubborn, if the players, like, if you're attacking the same way and you're not getting results, much like I felt last season when, you know, we were 34 shots against Manchester United, however many shots against Crystal Palace, however many shots against Wolves, right? But we're attacking the same way and we're not scoring and you don't change. Yeah, I get it. Like, you should be going after Ange and saying, I understand that it's working and creating chances, but it's not scoring goals. So you need to make an adjustment here on how we play in order to get those goals. That's fine. But, you know, if you're going to sack a manager, that should be because you have failed in all aspects in the goals of this season. In this case, I don't think Ange has even failed anything so far this season, other than having a couple of like incredibly disappointing results. But it still doesn't change.
So
the fact that the
let me ask you
expectations
this.
are broken.
Let me. So I know Eugene's stance on this. I asked him this question earlier because I agree. There's no excusing a loss to Ipswich. In the
No, I
fucking
would be
wham
pissed.
wham brigade,
Of
we're all like, "How could you put a positive spin on this, motherfucker?" Nobody did. The fuck are you talking about? They act like because I'm not screaming Ange out that somehow I'm excusing what we did with Crystal Palace or what we did with Ipswich or what we did with Brighton second half. My thought is, I don't blame those capitulations on the players. I blame it on the lack of leaders on the pitch. I blame it on the people who are supposed to be the leaders, who were directly involved in fucking changing the outcome or stopping the bleeding. And they what did Romero do with the captain's armband on his head versus Brighton when they fucking, I don't remember, it was equalized or went up one?
Gave up a
He
2-0.
went like this and he hung his head. That's not what a fucking leader does. And then continue to concede. Like, that's not a leader. So clearly I was wrong about what I thought Romero could be as a captain for us. Maybe it's the communication barrier. I don't know. But either way, I don't think he's captained us to a fucking point. In maybe Europe, we squeaked by on one of those games, but it was still abysmal every time I've seen him be a captain. And when it's not Son, and there's question marks around his leadership as well. Is he, you know, the kind of leader we need or this? I always try to
also not
fight
the
back
same
the
player he
notion
was
of like
3
a
years
Roy
ago.
Keane captain. He doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a cutout of what someone thinks is a man. But speaking of what somebody thinks is a man, we've got Minerals.
Well, go on. Well, go on,
Hey,
Jake.
how you doing?
Bro. Yeah, I'm good, man. Like with the Ange thing, I don't know anymore, man. I'm neutral to this. Like a month ago, I came on here and said maybe he should probably go, but like some of the players aren't stepping up. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? And you can't blame him. And in the games you lost most this season, it's because you don't take your chances. And you can't blame the manager. And some of the players are making mistakes. Same with Arsenal. Like mistakes have cost us this season. And also Spurs, they didn't sign the right profiles. Like the Archie Grays, those Bergvals, like you can't get top 4 with that. You know what I'm saying? But Jacob, it's just me, man.
I don't know about that, Minerals.
No, but look, it goes back to what Omar said, right? When Klopp started winning in Liverpool, they went out and they brought in Van Dijk and Alisson, 2 world-class players, and that changed the fortunes of Liverpool. When we were in Champions League before under Poch, we didn't bring anybody else in to help us go over that, the hurdle. Right now, again, as you see, we don't bring in any elite players. So the club's ambition is a huge difference. Van Dijk is a leader. Alisson is a leader. They impact the club, as you know, Mike, in many different
Robertson
ways.
is a leader. Everyone on that.
There's a lot of leaders in that. Yeah, because you got like what? You got the Netherlands captain, Scotland captain, flipping. Well, Salah is the
Egyptian captain.
Egyptian captain.
You
I know
got
Mane
the
wasn't.
Senegalese
full
captain.
of leaders,
But,
bro.
but that's the thing. Mane wasn't even captain, but he was a leader for the Senegalese
I mean,
team.
we have captains, international captains.
Yeah, you got Henderson.
which is
Henderson
not
was the
enough.
captain of the Liverpool team and a leader.
Yeah, James Milner too.
James Milner was a leader. He was a natural leader. There was so many.
He was
leaders in
cooking
that
us
team.
last year, that old bastard.
Listen, you could
Yeah.
but again, like this is all a mentality thing. Like this has
Yes.
nothing to do with Ange. Like not having leaders on the pitch. Like ultimately, it's not like Ange is not Daniel Levy. Like yeah,
But he's
sure,
a
maybe
good players, though. He
Well,
should
he
say
does.
no.
It does, bro.
Yes, he has some level of responsibility, but ultimately that's not his cross to bear. That's the ownership's, right? Like if Arne Slot bought a player or if Jurgen Klopp bought a player, like that's not his cross to bear unless he's the sporting director and unless FSG come out and publicly say, we do whatever Daddy Klopp says or we do whatever Daddy Slot says. But they don't do that, right? So like he has some responsibility, but that can't be like him signing the wrong profile player cannot be the reason why I look at him and I say you're sacked because that wasn't your decision. Like you had a part in it, but you're not the end all be all there.
There was some Spurs fans like that. Ange told me that with him in charge, Spurs don't have the pool. And the second one they've also told me that Ange is too stubborn. And
So Ange doesn't have the pull. I would say this club, if we're calling into account anyone's pull, it would be this club's pull.
Yes.
Because some fans want us to operate like we're Real Madrid and recruit like we're Barcelona, Bayern Munich. But then whenever I remember I said, oh, Alphonso Davies is priced at 50 million to Real Madrid. I bet we could swoop in and they'd sell him to us for 70 or something. Everyone said, you're a fucking loser, Jacob. How dare you think he would ever go to your club? It's like, well, so
but that's what you
we're
guys
either
do
like
exactly.
this highfalutin or we're not, and it's like there's no.
Go
ahead, Omar.
No, but my point is, right? Sometimes when you're trying to sign players, the players don't have to necessarily be world class. They just need to be someone who can do the job. You understand what I'm saying, right? And my thing is, when I always used to look at Spurs, especially under Poch, where that season 16, 17, or 17, 18, when you guys didn't sign a player, I'm not saying that they should have gone out and actually look for like world-class players in certain positions so that they can finally win the league or
They shouldn't be
challenge
looking
for
at
trophies.
world-class players in general.
Exactly. But that's my point. Because let's think about it, right? When Klopp was building his Liverpool team, even guys like Van Dijk wasn't considered world-class. He was considered a top defender at Southampton.
Well, he was a record-breaking signing.
But that's the thing. But but that's my point, right? He had potential. It's kind of like Van der Ven right now for Tottenham, right? He's considered a good center back. If he was to leave Tottenham and went to like a Madrid or like a Barcelona, and then he went
like 80 mil.
doing some and started becoming and did like, let's say he became a top player in a club like Real Madrid and Barcelona, then people would consider him world class. But the thing is, even at right now Spurs, he's still highly rated as a defender, and I feel like that's what Van Dijk was at Southampton. He was a defender that everyone was looking at and saying, we need him at our club. He has the potential to be world class one day. He's a top defender. So that's why when you guys signed him,
the recruitment is an issue.
Exactly. And that's why you guys went out and actually spent the money you did on him, because City were after him at the time when you guys bought him, right? Because remember, when you guys bought him, that's why they went and got in Laporte, because Van Dijk was actually their first plan A.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
when you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
bought him- yes.
If you're talking about
But yeah,
Liverpool,
but my point is, even Alisson was Brazil's number one, but he was at Roma. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't necessarily.
he was also
thought of as a
brilliant during that
He was
season.
brilliant.
We beat them in the semifinal.
Yeah, they knocked us out in the Champions League that season. I remember.
Yeah.
But this is my point, right?
Big up, Mo.
So many players, right? So many players at Liverpool before. I feel like a lot of your players became top class or world class on the club, like a Salah.
Exactly,
Salah,
which is
yes.
the point that I wanted to
Exactly, and also
and that's why I wanted to get to, and that's what I was trying to get to, right? Sometimes you don't necessarily have to buy world-class players. You just need to buy players who have the potential to be world-class. I think that when it comes down to it, I think that even Mane, I remember Mane at Southampton before you guys signed him. I was like, yo, this guy, when he goes to Liverpool on the club, he's going to be a gunman in the Premier League. Because I could see him at Southampton. Yeah. Go ahead.
Remember, though, is that, okay, the reason why you have to be careful in, drawing the comparison between Liverpool and Tottenham is that everyone likes to forget that it took Jurgen Klopp 2.5 years to even get to the point where he's signing Virgil and he's signing Alisson. And ultimately,
how was his first 2 years? Yeah, talk to me about Klopp's first 2 years.
Exactly. Like that's the most important thing. Like, we did reach a Champions League final, but I believe we also finished fourth that season, right? And we got mollywopped away to Manchester City. I know that we beat them in the Champions League that season, but we also got eviscerated at the Etihad in the Premier League. Right, so a lot of pieces were still yet to be made.
And even,
if I'm a
even before that, even before that,
Europa League final,
so in his
Europa
first
League
season,
final against Dortmund.
Yeah, in his first season at Liverpool, right, with Brendan Rodgers' squad, he took them to a Carabao Cup final and a Europa League final. They lost both. When that season was over, he got rid of a lot of the dead wood that you guys had in your team, right? And the place he replaced them with, he brought in Wijnaldum from Newcastle, who got relegated, right? He brought in Mane from Southampton, right? Who else did you guys bring that season? I keep forgetting.
Klavan
from Augsburg, right? You guys bought a lot of good players, not top players, good players, right? And those good players helped you finish top 4 the following season. And then when you finish top 4 the following season, right? Also, by the way, Robertson as well. You guys signed Robertson.
Yeah, it was like 5 million.
Well. Yes, right, from Hull City, right?
Yeah.
And that's my point, right? So at the end of the day, Klopp was buying players, but he was buying good players from clubs that weren't necessarily doing well. You understand what I'm saying? Or
from
any
clubs.
Exactly, mid-table clubs. And he made these players better. So when he finished top 4 in the 16-17 season, that's when he brought in Salah from Roma. And then Salah, let's be honest, when Salah arrived at Liverpool, I never expected him to go up, get the ground up like the way he did. He literally went crazy that season.
For 54 goals or something like that.
That's my point, right? But my point is this. At the end of the day, Liverpool, when he came to signing players around that time, Michael Edwards, he was cooking. The players that he kept on bringing in on the club, they always seem to be gelling, just like that. You understand what I'm saying?
See, the issue is it's not even the quality of the players, right? Klopp brought in players who fit his system. If you look at the players who are coming in right now, if you look at Maddison, he plays 10, he needs space. But our midfield is crowded. He doesn't have enough space, right? So he has to drop deep. Johnson is not an Ange type winger. He's in forward, right? So I'm not sure if the recruitment, if we're recruiting players who can play the way Ange wants it to play. That's for me is the biggest issue, right?
Yeah, but the problem is,
and are they aligned on the players who are coming in?
Yeah, but the problem is they'll say Ange accepted all these signings and Ange is a yes man.
But accepting is different than actually saying I want that player, right? If you're saying if you're given a choice between Timo Werner and nobody else, you'd be like, okay, fine, I'm gonna take him, right?
Yeah, it was Timo Werner and Nusa. Like, you guys should have signed Nusa instead of Werner.
We tried. Nusa denied us and went to Leipzig. So Nusa never had. He said
my
no.
bad. Eugene, go ahead. Finish.
Eugene, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, right? It's the quality, but it also the fit for the system and the players that we're bringing in. I'm not sure. Like Dragoshin, he's a good defender. He does not fit Ange ball. He cannot pass. He cannot break the press. So now I'm wondering who wanted Dragoshin. he definitely does not fit what we're trying to do. So now it seems like there's a disconnect between our transfer policy and the players Ange needs to fit his style. Just like Klopp brought in players that he needs. Pep brought in players that fit his style. With Ange, I'm looking at our transfers. Solanke, yeah, I can see why Ange would want Solanke. But everybody else, I'm struggling to see how they fit in that style, right? Madison, Johnson, Dragushin. I'm struggling. So that's my concern.
Yeah, so Solanke
Okay.
fits Ange's style, even though he's isn't great. You know what I mean?
Okay, but like we can say all of these things, but then people lean back to the fact of like, well, if we just finished our dinner, we would have beat those teams. So it's like, which way is it? Is it that everyone is the wrong profile, or is it just that you're not getting the execution out of the players? And ultimately, if you were to get rid of Ange, you're starting from step zero again. You're bringing in a new guy who maybe could figure out how to juggle this all together. But like when you're trying to take a team that hasn't won shit, like you've won nothing, to winning something, that's going to take time. Like if I were a Tottenham fan, I would be looking at this like, whoever we trust, this is going to take 2 to 3 years, because you're going to have to buy players who you can't compete with Liverpool, City, Arsenal to get. You're going to have to get a tune out of them. You're going to have to build a system and then get to a point like Liverpool did where it's like, well, you know what? They just made a Champions League final. Maybe there is something here. Maybe like this is somewhat, attractive. Maybe I can go out and get a 50 million Salah. Maybe I can convince a Virgil van Dijk. And yes, you have the whole Klopp allure and Dortmund. I get it, right? But ultimately, this is something that's going to take multiple seasons. Like Ange has been here for 1 full year and 10 weeks, right?
Right.
So,
and that's why we're saying it's not on Ange per se, but the club itself has not shown. The club doesn't have a track record of backing managers and getting them players
That's
that
true,
they need.
but
Under
the
Conte,
thing is-
we had Harry Kane. Our defense was shit. Now, offensive manager, our defense is good, but our front three is average, right? It's always the club doesn't do
you're leading the league in goals.
right.
And also,
again,
here's my thing also, Eugene, right? I feel like when it comes to Tottenham, they don't spend a lot of money, but when they do, the players you guys spend money on sometimes makes no sense. You spend what, 50 million on Brennan Johnson? 50 million. That is the point.
I mean, we did spend 60 on Richarlison,
And
so
60 on
it looks
Richie.
like a better deal than that. We spent 60 plus on Ntongi and Dombele,
remember-
looking like a better
see
deal
what
than
I'm
that.
saying?
And
I don't know if it's
look
going to be
at
good
this
And
though.
also
And then look at how
Solanke.
close you
Solanke
are.
as well.
Look at
And see, this is the point, right? You
have all these
don't
shit
spend
players in
money,
your
but
three
when you
points
actually
back
do
We,
go out,
we do spend money.
well,
yeah, you do,
transfer
but that's the
fees,
thing.
not
But that's
wages.
the
You
thing,
spend
right?
on rubbish though. That's the thing. You
That's
spend money
exactly.
on
That's
the
my
wrong
point.
profile.
At the end of the day,
We
when you
spend
do decide to go out,
I agree with the notion, or I disagree with the notion that we don't spend. I agree with the notion that we don't spend well. We spend to maintain what we did if it was decent enough, which I think the board and Levy are saying, if we can get in and around 4, 5, 6 like we did last year, challenging a couple of cups, that's perfectly fine. So then what do? They bolster the squad to do just that, not to overtake the gap between us and Villa and Liverpool and Arsenal and all the rest. It's to maintain this window was Solanke, Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall was in February, so I guess technically you could say it was this summer. Either way, you want to frame it. I don't ever think that we've done a lot of business that says, oh, we're really trying to close the gap. The only gap that we ever try and close is the European gap. That where if we didn't make European, then we'll spend some money to get back into European. We get back into European, let's just
and then you
maintain.
don't maintain
That's
it,
what and so we do spend money. You can't say that Levy doesn't. We broke our record for signing.
Yeah,
And
you
also-
do
and also-
spend, but
and
you
also-
spend it on the wrong players.
but see, this
No,
is
no,
the,
it's
also
not even
the,
that.
no,
The
no, no.
difference
So, okay,
is,
so one thing
if you look
Jacob
at
said.
Chelsea and United, hold on one sec, just last point. If you look at Chelsea and United, they make bad signings, but they go back and buy more players. They're like, you know what? It's a mistake. We're going to go and buy somebody else. If you look at how we do business, we can spend big transfer fees on Richarlison or even Archie Gray, but those players are in low wages, right? We don't go and get Nico Williams who wants 250K or 300K, right? We would rather pay upfront the transfer fees than actually pay big wages. And once
that's
we
the
make a
point.
mistake, we don't go back and buy another player at that position. Like Chelsea, they're gonna buy and buy and buy until they get it right. We make one mistake, and that's it, and we're done. So that's the
This
difference
guy.
between us and the
12
this
months
guy.
from now, he's going to be hammering him out. Watch.
I swear to God,
Hey,
Staffy. You know
probably.
what, Staffy? Hold on. This Staffy guy, right? So because you got a good manager now, you're just going around just.
Hey, big up Side TV coming in with the raid.
Yeah, man,
Big up all y'all. Hey, look, the link's out there. Anyone can pull up. Y'all gonna tell me why I should be Ange out? Try and convince me. I have yet to hear a
Ange
valid
out,
argument
Mike.
why I should be Ange out. But big up Side TV every single time. Make sure you are like and subscribing. There's over 275 people here.
Yo, Jake, bro.
Yeah, what's up?
Like, also the thing that's been going on.
Kuva.
Kuva.
Big up, Jacob. Big up, everybody on panel.
Yeah,
Big
man.
up.
Mike, first of all, got to say, Mike, that is one killer mustache, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Great mustache.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, man.
Yo, Jake, I wanted to
Big up everybody coming over from that raid, by the way. Over 300 people here real quick. Hit a like, hit a subscribe if you're new, or if you don't have to, you do whatever you want. It's your life. But I would encourage you to hit a like and subscribe, or just partake in the chat, in the poll, whatever you want. Feel free. Yeah. Eugene, you gotta go before we keep going.
Kuva's here, so he is the Spurs representatives now on the stream. So good talking to you guys. Thanks, Jacob.
Big up, Eugene. Always good to see you, man. And good to have I think that's the first time I've actually ever streamed with you. So good to see you.
Yeah, Jake.
Yo,
Jake. I didn't make my point. Is the Ange out of saying he's a yes man, and Levy appointed him for a reason, and the reason why they say he's a yes man is approved Timo Werner. Now I'm saying and turn down other targets, and also Ange has no plan B, and he's tired of restructuring. That's what they're saying.
But the thing is that no one can say that. No one can say that. I'm sorry.
Not me saying it, bro.
No. I'm not even talking about you, Minerals. You aren't saying that. I'm saying that no one out there can sit there and tell me that Ange said yes or no on anything. Ange is an employee. Like, ultimately, no manager is going to come out and say, I didn't want that piece of trash. Like, I didn't want this shit footballer in my team. He's gonna eat shit, and he's gonna say
Conte did to Jed. That was it. That's the only time I've seen it.
No one is ever going to do that. He's going to say, hey, listen, he's a good baller. Hopefully we'll try to figure out a way to put him in the system, and blah, 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 blee, 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 which is what I expect from you, because the guy at the top signs your paycheck, and it's not your job to publicly criticize the owners for who they buy. No one ever does that. So, like, this idea of that he's a yes man because they bought Timo Werner. We don't know who bought Timo Werner. We don't know who bought Richarlison. We don't know who bought Dominic Solanke. It's just that Ange happened to be in charge when some of these guys came in. Just like how, the beginning of the transfer window for Liverpool. It's like, this is either going to be the most genius thing ever in not buying anyone, or it's going to be the biggest failure of all time. And right now is
the most genius thing, because Liverpool players are class.
But the thing is that regardless, I would never blame Arne Slot for who we bought or who we didn't, because he's the head coach of the club. He's not the sporting director. He's not the CEO. He's not the owner. And even if I went out and I spent $150 million on Jude Bellingham, and then Jude Bellingham sucked absolute wang for the entire season, he'd have to stand up there and say, Jude's a great footballer, and we hope that we can get something out of him. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that is absolutely true. And listen, at the end of the day, I feel like having a good sporting director actually is important, because I also want you to remember, Mike, right? Even though, yes, when you guys signed players like Salah and all these players, the reason I call out Michael Edwards, right, and I say that he's a huge reason into why you guys had the success you did, is because if you remember, before you guys brought in Salah, club's actual target was Julian Brandt. Julian Brandt was the one that
he wanted Brandt, and he wanted Götze. And we got Mane and Salah. Yeah, we got Mane and Salah.
Exactly, because Götze actually rejected and actually went back to Dortmund. Whereas when it came to Julian Brandt, I think it was Michael Edwards who was like, "Nah, Salah would be a better signing. He would
100%
on the system." And I think that is actually important to have a good sporting director, right? Now, this is the thing, Jacob, right? The point that you were mentioning, right? At the end of the day, I think that's the same. I do agree with you when it comes to when your club decides to spend money, when Levy and all those guys decide to spend money. At the end of the day, I feel like the reason why they only spend money when you guys get out of Europe is because they don't want the pressure of winning trophies. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because when you get that first trophy, Now everyone is looking at you. You understand what I'm saying? Because do you guys remember when you guys were challenging for the league those 2 seasons, right? And you guys were looking like, one of the best teams in Europe and all of those stuff. There was starting to be expectations started to build at Tottenham, right? Everyone's looking at Tottenham and saying,
well, real quick, speaking of expectations building, the expectations of the stream have gone up exponentially.
What the fuck was that about, huh? What's up, you fat pig? What, you don't see where you're fucking going?
I wasn't even driving.
Don't shut the fuck up, you fucking piece of bacon! Why'd I get picked up?
Staffy's here. Staffy, hello.
Why did you play that video for me? What do you mean by that?
Because I feel like that's you pulling up in the car and you're mad at me in the back seat for how the driver's performing.
Listen. Staffy is having the best time of his life right now, man. Ten Hag is gone. Amorim
I'd like to be known as Senior Staffy right now because this. Bro.
He's shameless. Listen, I'm subscribed to you, Staffy. I'm always there. You see me there all the time.
Yeah, I always see in the chat. Nice to meet you on stream, bro.
Yeah, big up, man. Every single time. But my point is, every time I see Staffy, right, these days, right, this guy has been acting so shameless recently. I'm like, you know what?
He's enjoying himself.
No, that's my point. That's my point. You know what it is? Sometimes with some fans, shamelessness is not warranted. But with Staffy, I understand it, because I want you to understand, Staffy. I'm on your channel, bro. I'm subscribed. I've been following you through this journey, man. I've seen you slowly lose your mind.
I've seen the pain. You get it.
Exactly. I've seen the pain. I've seen the suffering. So, listen.
I wish I didn't delete that little photo I had. I had a nice Staffy photo.
I don't like to see a fellow Muslim brother going through stuff right now. So, you know what I mean, right? It's a beautiful Friday, man.
Well,
listen, bro, all I'm
speaking of...
Amorim, Senior Amorim, I want to be from now on known, no more Staffy TV, it's Senior Staffy. That's all I want.
It's gonna be Senior Staffy until he turns on Amorim. Then it's gonna be Haram Staffy.
Here we go.
Then he's gonna be doing Haram watch along, Haram alongs. You're gonna do the Haram alongs. Those will be fun.
Because they didn't win.
No. Let me
tell you. Whoa! That's not what I was saying.
Ruben is a style of sandwich.
Don't gaslight. Okay, you're gaslighting.
I want to bring Kuva in here real quick because fuck Ruben. Fuck Ruben Amorim. No one cares about your bullshit right now. I'm here to yell at people about Ange Postecoglou. I don't care about Amorim.
You want me to give me a reason to piss you off? Ange out, bro. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. See, I knew you were coming here with some bullshit. Well, that's what this is about.
Jacob is ready for the stream. He's got his vest on. He's ready to swing up you. You can tell.
Yeah, I pulled up. My first time I did a pull-up show, I had the ski mask on. This time, I went a little less intimidating, and I just whipped out my titties. So I feel like that's Ange's last card that he's got in his move for the press conference. Just say, fuck it, here's my tits. But Kuva, I don't know where you are right now. I know you've gone on record saying you flip-flop based on performance, which
absolutely
I like to say... I don't like to tell anyone how to support this club. And if you want to be Ange out one week, Ange in the next week, that is your prerogative. So talk to me about your stance on Ange Postecoglou.
The first thing I think is to say that so many people on either side of the argument make one basic mistake, and that's assuming that everybody on the other side has the same opinion as each other. They don't. My reasons for Ange out aren't the same reasons as other people's are. For instance, I've never once said he's clueless. I've never once said he's naive. I've never once said he's out of his depth. My argument with him is that at Spurs, I feel he's pointless because his brand of football is something I don't believe the club can ever provide him with the tools to make it work. So he becomes this sort of token gesture to get fans on board with attacking football. And he's gone from this pragmatic managers that we didn't like, a lot of us didn't like, to showing this gung-ho level of football that we're all excited about to start with, but it's destined to fail. And I think we're now starting to see that for every good result, there is a bad one, and it's just a trend that's continuing. I don't think we're really going anywhere. We're kind of treading water at the moment, and Ange is there destined to fail because the manager that comes in afterwards, he finds that middle ground between the gung-ho approach and that little bit more defensive style, and perhaps, just perhaps, he might squeeze more out of this team. However, we don't have a good track record when it comes to recruitment, and that goes with managers and players. So it's a little bit up in the air. My overall gut feeling, though, is I don't believe in where we're going at the moment. That
Well,
doesn't mean we're
I-
disastrous, but
Wait, hold on. Can I answer that, Jacob?
Yeah,
As an
Staffy, of
outsider.
course.
So Kuva, I hear what you're saying, and actually agree with a lot of things that you said. I've said that I
do
think
too.
a couple months ago, where I looked at Spurs and I said Spurs is the only club out of the top 6 that I look at them and I generally don't know a solution to their problem, because there's a disconnect between what the manager wants to do and where the club wants to be. I think Levy and the ownership and everyone, they think that Spurs is so successful considering where they took the club about 15 years ago, financially at least, to where they are right now. You're a top 6 club because of your financial power. You make the Champions League on occasion. You have the best stadium in the country, arguably the best stadium in all of Europe. You have all these concerts coming in. You have all these events. You're a global brand. They're looking at that as a success. I look at Ange, and I think Ange looks at success a lot different because he's a little bit more old school. You can tell he's a football head, so he's a footy head, and all he defines success by is at the end of the season showing those armpits because you picked up a trophy. And that's why I agree with Kuva, but I also disagree with you because you said because of those reasons you're Ange out. Unless I misunderstood you, to me that sounds like someone who just wants to hoe around, but then he found a girl who's wifey material. So instead of settling down for someone who has so many great qualities, they want to break up with them so they can lower their standards again. And that's what I'm not saying you're lowering your standards. I'm saying you're looking at the club and saying, well, because they can't live up to what Ange wants, let's just get rid of him and get someone who will understand what the level of the club is. And that's where I have a disconnect with you. Why would you get rid of him when you should be demanding from your club to give a proper recruitment, to use some of that money? I don't think, by the way, once I go on, I'll let you answer. I don't think at any point is Spurs going to be the best team in the country. However, I do think you're financially capable of picking up the odd trophy every other season, a Carabao Cup here, an FA Cup here, a Europa League there. You definitely have enough to be around that and not go 15, 16 years without a trophy. There has to be a middle ground between meaning nothing and, oh, let's take over City, let's take over United, let's take over Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a middle ground.
Absolutely, I agree. I think in terms of why I want Ange out, when I'm rejecting his gritty, the bits of his character and the bits of his management that are working, I'm rejecting that because I'm at the point now where I don't think we're going to get rid of the chairman, which is my ultimate goal. I would love to see new ownership. I think that's what's always been holding us back. Gets us to a certain level, and then we're just plateaued there. We're hanging on to those clubs that are bigger and more successful than us and pretending we're one of the pack when we're not. So I'm at the point where I can't change that, and I don't believe we're going to get Levy out. So all that's left is to just spin the dice, throw those dice, and hope you come up with a lucky number, another Pochettino, a Harry Redknapp, somebody that can bring a little bit of magic out of an existing player base and maybe make a few little clever signings that go with it, and we can get more out of what's there. I just don't see that with Ange now. I really wanted to. Jacob will remember how much I threw myself into Ange in the beginning of last season. And after 10 games, it was fantastic. I thought, wow, little miracle has happened. Over time, that's been ebbed away. I realise this is just the same again. So you are right. We do end up in this cycle of just sacking a manager. Same thing happens over and over and over. Unfortunately, I really do believe we are stuck with that until we can get rid of the ownership. So you just have to gamble and hope for the best. And I'm sick of waiting around.
What was the Hunger Games about, Kuva? Was the Hunger Games about just standing and staying under the foot that means to oppress you? Or does it mean rising up, fighting, being the Katniss of Tottenham Hotspur?
But if you're backing one of the losers on Hunger Games,
well, then you're dead. You're dead. You die.
But what I don't understand though is that, I mean, right now on the table, you're only 3 points back of qualifying for the Champions League potentially. Right now, you're in a quarterfinal. Like, you performed pretty well in the Carabao Cup, and you just beat Manchester City. Like, you could win that quarterfinal. You could get to the semifinal.
We've also shown form where we could have been knocked out by Coventry earlier.
100%, right? But like ultimately, in a team that's competing for 5th place, I don't expect surefire consistency. Like, I don't expect to see the same consistency as Liverpool or Arsenal or City, because you're not going to end on 90 points. You probably won't even end above 75 points. And if it's anything like last season, 4th place will be 70 points, which ultimately is 20 points behind at least every single, title winning season of Manchester City or Liverpool, right? Yeah. So going even further, you're sitting at the top of the Europa League, which to Tottenham standards, like the Europa League is, that means way more than it would to Liverpool. That means way more than it would to Arsenal. That means way more. I'm being objective here. Like, Liverpool have 6 Champions Leagues, right? Like,
bro, if we won Europa, I'm crying. I'm getting a tattoo. I'm going to England. Bro, imagine whipping everything.
So, like,
I'm going in my God's creation.
Ultimate full circle point, though. But just to kind of wrap up the point, like, I don't think that that people should be expecting week in, week out consistency with Ange Postecoglou and this Tottenham team, because I don't think that player-wise that this team is at the level to be that consistent, right? I think that based on the the stats that I see, you've shown that you have great potential. Now you need to get into the mode in the second season of stringing along the consistency. What does that mean? That means getting a trophy, whether it's the Carabao, the FA Cup, or the Europa League, because you're not going to win the Premier League unless somehow you go on a magical run and everyone gets proven wrong. Right. But I don't think that's going to happen. So if you get one of those trophies, you finish, 5th place, that should be a super successful season. And then all of a sudden, every single Spurs fan would have a completely different perspective on what the possibilities on the next season are, which is ultimately the step that you're at. I just think that a lot of Spurs fans, they're not cognizant of where they are in reality. Like, they don't know where they are right now.
Yeah, they're that dude that's sitting in their basement full of Cheeto dust and Oreo crumbs, critiquing a woman for her eyebrows.
Yes, you should be upset with some of these results, but ultimately, it's like, I don't see anything that is that abnormal with where I believe this Spurs team should be and what they could potentially do this season. And then if they get one of those trophies, then maybe I'll start saying, okay, next season, you guys got to, be maintaining around that 4th place the whole year. Like, you need to have another trophy, or at least, get to the final of something. But it's like, it's a step-by-step process. And I just think that Spurs fans think they're 4 steps ahead of where they are.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. So just a very quick rebuttal to that. I agree, Mike. A lot of valid points there. But I think our inconsistencies are magnified by when we do fail. It's the sort of games you see against Ipswich or Crystal Palace. I mean, nobody teams. I mean, with all due disrespect to them, which I think we should be,
which is fine. But if you finish 5th, you won't be saying
it's that. It's not just a loss, though. It's not like we outplayed them and had plenty of shots, but we couldn't put them away. They absolutely handled us. They put us in our place, made it easy. We weren't really a threat to them on any point in those games. And I don't believe this squad of players should be putting out performances like that. You can be unlucky and lose games. I'm okay with that. It's football. But these were unacceptable results. And then when you couple it with the performance against Galatasaray, which is one of the most shocking ones I've seen ever from the club, and you rest players specifically to save them for the league game against Ipswich, and then go and lose both those games, I don't see how I'm supposed to get sort of enthusiastic or get any confidence from that. And we're at the point now where I think Ange needs to be showing fans by walking the walk. The words don't matter now. He can say whatever he wants. We've got to see those wins coming in. And you're right, we don't expect to steamroller everybody all the time. Nothing's going to be easy. Winning a trophy isn't going to be easy. It's not a divine right, is it? But we should be looking like we are capable of doing it. We should look like we are competing in some of these competitions. And too often this team doesn't. That's not just an Ange thing. That's over the course of time.
I think you are capable, though.
But right now, if I'm going to back a manager now, I need to show him to show me something that puts an end to those beliefs and that constant thought that we are going to throw this away at some point. Go 2-0 up at halftime and then lose 3-2.
I don't think that's just on manager. Your players also have to show that as well.
Yeah, it's a few things, isn't it? Yeah.
And like to what Mike was saying, the reason why Spurs fans won't do that is because of what they did with Pochettino, they think they're in a class where they're not actually supposed to be. And that's not just his fault of Spurs fans. The fact of we put Spurs in this like top 6 big club bracket, but we don't treat them like a big club. If Liverpool or United or Chelsea sacked a manager, regardless of how bad he was doing, if we sacked a manager 6 days before a cup final, do you know how chaotic that would be? But Spurs did it, and it wasn't a
I'd
big
fly to
problem.
Liverpool. I would literally fly to Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Think of the worst United manager, Staffy, Ten Hag. If you guys sacked him 6 days before a cup final and you just threw that away, because why not sack him 2 months beforehand and bring in someone?
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Or just wait until 8 weeks into the next season when you lose to West Ham. Like
exactly. I remember making that argument at that time. Regardless of what you guys think of Jose, to sack him 6 months before 6 days before a final.
6 days before a final, yeah.
I thought it was 5, but 6 sounds about right.
No, but that's the thing. But you get the point. What he means. Yeah.
Yeah, it fucking hurts. I still fucking think about Son crying at full time, and it fucks me up.
But here's the thing, bro. Only a few fans think like Spurs fans think like you. The ones I've spoken to, they just accept it and make excuses. If Pochettino last year got sacked 6 days before that Carabao Cup final, I'd be angry because at least either let him play it regardless or sack him a month or two before and let us bring in a manager that can actually win us that trophy and build beyond that. The fact that Spurs fans just accepted it like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. That's why, like, we treat them like a top 6 side.
Exactly. That's why it's easy to troll them. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, stuff like that.
That's why I don't make jokes at Spurs, because I don't treat them as a big club, because they don't treat themselves like a big club. If you guys can accept a manager being sacked before a cup final, then I'm not going to compare you to Chelsea. I'm not going to compare you to Liverpool. As much as I make jokes at Arsenal's expense, I'm not going to compare you to Arsenal. I'm not going to compare you to Man United. I'm not going to compare you to these big clubs. Because if Barcelona, who are not in the Premier League, if they sack a manager 6 days before a cup final, regardless of how bad he may be, there would be pitchforks out. But when it's Spurs,
absolutely.
The fact that Ange is saying
that's a dad, bro. That's a dad.
Ange just kept saying this season that I win a trophy in my second year where I've gone, and Spurs fans are just laughing at that like it's a joke. It's not a joke.
And meanwhile, they're competing in 3 competitions.
And that's the point I was about to make very quickly.
Technically 4, but yeah, you could realistically say 3.
Reality.
Mathematically, you like stats, numbers, and shit, Mike. There you go. Mathematically, we're not out of it.
Okay. All right, sure. Mathematically, you're not out of the Premier League.
Yet.
There you go.
It's interesting. It's interesting your perception of. Your perception of what happened.
I think Ange is. Ange. I think he's a brilliant coach, and there's potential there where he's trying to get to. The fact of every level he's gone to, he has won at that level. Like a lot of managers haven't done that. That's very difficult to do. So I respect that. And the fact that he actually wants to win, again, I also respect that. He's trying to change the culture at Spurs. He's trying to think long term. I respect that. But the reason why he won't win at Spurs is because of, 1, your players aren't good enough, and 2, the mentality of your fans. The fact you guys will chase out managers who are trying, but you won't target your board. And I'm not saying all Spurs fans are in that bracket. If you're not, the guy to the far end, if you're not like that,
Kuva, the GOAT. Kuva is a legend, a general.
Like that, that's fine. I'm not saying you do. I'm not saying Jacob does. But there are a lot of Spurs fans, at least that I speak of or I watch, that do think like that. Like they just accept this. That's wild. Like no other big club fan base that I know of would just accept this and think it's okay.
Yeah,
Kuva, what were you going to say? There was something Kuva was going to weigh in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's interesting your perception of what happened during that time period, because when it happened and Jose got sacked, everybody I know, myself included, and I'm not a Jose Mourinho fan, we were fuming at that. We are absolutely livid about what happened. Just about to go into a cup final, sack your manager. Who does that? Especially when it's Mourinho. If you're going to pick one manager in the world to do a one-off final against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and hope to win with an underdog team. It's Jose Mourinho. When we sacked him, it was madness. So I don't know. There obviously are some fans that seem to be accepting it, but I'm just saying from my point of view, everybody I was around at the time, we were all absolutely fuming mad about it. It's kind of interesting to hear it from an outsider's point of view and seeing reaction to other Spurs fans. Must be circles I'm not moving in, that's for sure.
Let's see.
Well, real quick, Staffy's got to go, and I got a couple guests to bring in. So big up Staffy TV. Everyone, make sure you go like and subscribe to Staffy TV. It's right there. It's very simple and easy to find. And just you can laugh at him. Just watch his arc. He's gonna do the "I love this" woohoo, Ruben Amorim, and then it's gonna go woohoo, and then he's not gonna be saying "we." He's gonna be saying "wham wham."
Before Staffy goes, I'll say this though. I'm not gonna lie. People need to understand this Amorim thing. This is not a Ten Hag situation. I'm being honest with you guys. I actually have seen Amorim manage. This guy, ever since he started managing, right? The amount of, like, if you see what he did at Braga, taking them to the Champions League in over half a century, breaking that cycle, taking them to the Champions League, and then breaking the cycle of Porto and Benfica and winning the league, not once but twice. Basically, what this guy is doing, I said this on my channel. Prime was on my channel when I said this. I said Amorim going to United is no different from when Klopp went to Liverpool. Because if you look up Klopp's resume before he went to Liverpool, it was he went to Mainz, took them from the second division to the first division, made them a regular Bundesliga team, took over Dortmund, won 2 league titles against Bayern Munich, left Dortmund, went to Liverpool and did what he did. I'm telling you guys, there's no difference. And if you look at when
Jacob won't listen though. He won't respect Senior Amorim. That's his
problem. And you know what the thing is also?
I just like it better when Staffy's like getting his hopes up and then he gets crushed. I love that moment. And a lot of people do too. You'll notice during his Man United
Amorim, we will
during the watch-alongs, it's there, the arc, man. It's like a movie.
Senior Staffy,
it's like a TV series.
No more top right.
No one's calling you that. No one's calling you that.
Big up, Staffy. Enjoy the New York underwear, as they're referred to. Real quick, I gotta do a little bit of tidy work here. As one leaves, we've got 2 more in the back, and I've got a question for you all.
Am I a prick? No, I'm not standing for this shit. I ain't standing for this shit, bro.
I ain't standing, I'm sitting, and we've got Perchy and Jose from El Tel Cocarel. How are we doing, gentlemen?
All good, mate. All good. How's it going?
Big up, Percy. Long time no see,
complaints.
mate.
Long time. Big up, Jose. How you doing, mate? Long time. Do you want my opinion, Jacob? Everyone wants my opinion.
Well, yeah. You want to pull on up, buddy.
Look. Am I Ange out? I hear this all the time. Is I'm going to talk about on the return of my channel on Monday. But look, I don't think it really matters, right? I think that's the key bit. Does it matter if you're Ange out or Ange in? Because let's be fair, if he keeps losing games of football, he's going to get himself the sack, right? I think that for me I think that's the crux of it all, right? That is where it's going to end up. But I think the key bit for me is this sort of divide about are you Ange in, are you Ange out? As I always say, it don't really matter what everyone thinks because it doesn't matter. We all know the bigger problem at the football club. I think we can all probably. Oh,
big up Omar. Big up Omar.
Very quickly, guys.
Thanks for calling in.
Guys. Big up to you guys. Take care, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for I appreciate you calling in, man. It was good. It was a good chat.
Man. Absolutely, man. Take care.
Yeah. So sorry. I don't want to take over everything, but like it was just.
You were saying to the kangaroo, Perchy?
Unbelievable. No, but I think the key bit is there's the bigger problem at Tottenham. I think we all agree on that, right? I think we all know there's a bigger problem at Tottenham in the sense of it. But as I've always said, and I'll stand by this, what is success at Tottenham? Not what you guys think, not what I think, not what the guys in the chat think. What is success at Tottenham? And I will always use that as my benchmark before I answer the next question. What is success at Tottenham?
Top 4.
No, it's not.
Trophy.
No, it's not.
It's
for every single one of us.
The bottom line.
Well, I mean, I'm not a good Tottenham fan, but
success
like
at Tottenham is become a corporate machine, and that's all it's become.
No, I don't know if it's a corporate machine as much as like if you want to blame it for being a corporate machine, you must blame capitalism in a whole, and I'm fine with that as well because capitalism is a huge problem, but capitalism breeds this from companies. So I see it from a financial standpoint, it makes sense.
But I have no issues with that. But the ultimate goal at a football club is to be successful on the pitch. Tottenham, there is no level of success on the pitch. You look at other football clubs. Prime, you're a Chelsea fan, right? Mate, you're a Chelsea fan. You go to Stamford Bridge. What do they have at Carrington? No, it's not Carrington. Sorry, what's their training? Cobham. Sorry, Cobham. What do they have at Cobham?
That's where they filmed the Pochettino hostage video. It was funny.
But what they have everywhere is success bleeds through that club. Man United bleeds success at there. Whether or not we think where Man United have come, Liverpool. You go to Liverpool, Melwood. Pictures everywhere of teams lifting it. Doesn't happen at Tottenham because the difference is for us, players aren't expected to be successful. Use what Harry Kane said. Harry Kane spoke very candidly about Tottenham, and people took it in a very negative way, but he was spot on. At Tottenham, losing 2 or 3 games, you're okay. You go to Bayern Munich, you lose 1 game to anyone, and they want you out. And that's the difference, right? And I think that is the difference at Tottenham. We've got fans saying about Ange Postecoglou out or Ange in, whatever. Trust the process. It's buzzwords for me. It's all buzzwords. Because really, success.
Who said trust the process? Are you talking about what Arteta said?
No. I hear fans saying, "Oh, you've just got to back Ange to trust this process." What is the process at Tottenham right now? Or trust the project, whatever buzzword you want to use. You can use whatever you want. What is that?
Well, the only thing I've ever said to trust is
I'm not
trust
saying
in
you.
me.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying collectively. What is the project?
Well, no, I mean, I get it. I understand the sentiments, but it's again, I think back to that conversation of we're trying to act like we're a 10 when in reality, after 7 beers, we're barely a 4. And it's just like we can talk about the standards of a Bayern Munich, we can talk about the standards of a Real Madrid or a City but the reality is we are not those clubs. So I wouldn't hold myself to that same standard.
Why can't we be one of those clubs?
Because we don't act like a club that ever has wanted to be that kind of club since before with Sugar as well. So it's like
no, I agree. But my point,
there's been no indication.
You've hit the nail on the head on the point I was trying to make there. We can be that club, of course we can, because it's all about the mentality and the philosophy at the football club. This philosophy at this football club isn't about success. And whenever I hear, "Oh, just get a new owner," that's not for me the benchmark now. The benchmark is the mentality at this football club has to change from top down. And that includes the manager, that includes the players, that includes the owners, that includes us as fans collectively. I watch a lot of La Liga. You guys know I live out in Spain. I watch a lot of La Liga.
I noticed when your title changed from on loan at Espanyol / Alejo Veliza's #1 fan.
No, that's 2 different accounts. So that's one. This is my new channel account.
Oh, okay.
And the other one.
So you're still on loan at Espanyol?
Oh, mate, them fans.
you love it though. You're having a good time.
Fans, La Liga, Spanish fans have standards out there. They don't give a. I'm not going to swear on your channel. They don't care. So what do they win then? What are the Espanyol standards and what do they win? What Espanyol, mate? Their fans are going ballistic. They hate their owners. We talk about hating our owners. Our stadium's packed every week. Theirs, no one turns up. We've got their ultras kicking off at their. So then, wouldn't the problem then be the people who are going wham about Levy and then also giving Levy money annually and biannually and semi-quarterly annually? I don't spend any money at that football club for obvious reasons. Now I've refused to. But we all know people who do. No, okay, granted. And you know me. I stood very on that point about money. The problem what we've got now is what's happened. This is a bigger problem than 5 or 6 people saying that they do this. It's kind of past that. what we done, this stadium, we were sold the dream of this stadium. The stadium was built at this football club, and everyone went, this is going to be the big part of it. Do you know what it was? All it was, it became a corporate machine that prints money. I call it the £1 million ATM, because every time you use it, you print £1 million. And that's all it's become, right? It is flooded, and that money doesn't then come. All this talk about when are we actually going
Big
to
up, Mike.
start?
Big up. Thanks for calling in,
we...
Mike. Cheers, buddy.
Oh,
Big up, Mike.
take it easy,
Big up, bro. Liverpool top of the league, baby.
Mate, slot is doing a job for you boys.
Mike, before you leave, are you guys in a title race?
I've already said publicly that we are the favorites based on form right now, barring any external situations. But I don't talk about titles 11 weeks into a season. We're the best form team. We are the best form team in Europe, outside of maybe Barcelona. I think you could probably say are better than us. But
why won't anyone else in your fan base
because they don't want to get clipped up, because we have PTSD from Pep Guardiola. They don't want to get clipped up, and ultimately, like, first year manager could never be expected before a season starts. A first year manager can never be expected to win a title. But if there's 5 game weeks left and we're up by 10 points, then you can lay it on them. But I mean, right now the summer window, we look like geniuses. Slot's a fucking mechanic, and he won't let go of Nottingham Forest. And we're killing it on all cylinders, and we're top of the league. And everyone else seems to be going down. And I don't even think that we're playing good football. But anyway, big up.
Big up, Mike, man. Thanks for calling in. You know who's pulled up to both of the pull up and convinced me Ange out has been Mike Doss. So big up Mike for that. And Prime, you're 2 for 2 as well. Jose. Perchy. So I'm sorry, you probably didn't finish your point.
My final point, and I'll shut up for a minute. I'm not going to stay too long and take over your stream.
This is what it's about. I wanted to do this, like, all jokes aside. I know I'm doing the whole pull up. But like, there's a lot of people in my chat. There's some pussies in the chat right now being like, "Oh, Jacob's a happy clapper. He's a happy Ange, whatever." Pull up. Tell me, talk to me, because I like that these faceless, nameless accounts, they have all these notions about how I feel, but they don't want to have a conversation with me, and it's interesting. But I like that when I just always hear from the other side of the fence that it's like, oh, people who love Ange don't want to hear the facts. I heard the facts. I'm aware of the facts. No one's been able to convince me that Ange is
what I will
not the man
say
for the
on
job.
that. What I will say on that, anyone in the chat, and this goes for anyone, by the way, abusing someone for their opinion, whether they love Ange to the ends of the earth, or if they can't stand the guy as our manager. It's all football, right? We're all football fans, and we all support our team. Can we stop this vitriolic nonsense? And I get it. People in the chat, they like a bit of an argument. They like a bit of back and forward with people. You do realize everyone freaking talks behind the scenes. So let's not be stupid here. Let's just be respectful to each other here, because it's football.
Well, actually, Jose, I've got beef with you, buddy.
Sorry, can I just add 2 sentences to what Perchy said?
Oh, yeah, of course. I was just going to be silly.
I was going to say, I agree with everything you said there, Perchy. The real crime at this club isn't that we're failing to win trophies. The real crime is that we look like we're not even trying to.
Bang on. Spot on. We don't even want to. That's what it feels like. It feels like achieving the utmost, the next level for us costs too much money for what it's worth. It's like we've hit that level now, and that's where I think it is financially.
I don't necessarily agree. Like, there's still trophies with the very mid business we've done. We can still, if Ten Hag can win an FA Cup and a fucking Carabao Cup with United, there's no reason why we can't.
Do you know the difference in financials?
Look, bro, I'm giving you the link. Pull up, or else you're getting blocked. You fucking pussy. Tired of fucking weirdos like you. Cheeto does pussy. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what anyone says on my channel. Ace, go fuck yourself, or pull up, you bitch.
What I'll say on this, Jacob. Do you know what the financial reward for winning the FA Cup and doing a domestic? This is the biggest travesty, and unfortunately, we've got owners now that have come in and taken full advantage of. Do you know what the financial powers are for when you win? If you win a domestic double, do you know how much do you get?
Probably like 500,000.
You get 2 million. I think it's 500.
hey.
You get.
I'll take that.
But okay. But hear me out. Now here's my point. Why should Tottenham care to take that seriously? I'm not talking about us as fans wanting it. I'm talking about people at the top. Why should they care to win?
They're not kicking the ball at the end of the day, though.
No. Hear me out. Because hear me out. Finishing one place above. Do you know you can earn more money finishing 20th in the Premier League than you are to win a domestic double? That for me is wrong with the system. You should be getting nothing if you finish last. If you finish last in the Premier League, you should be getting diddly squat, not getting 50 million or whatever it is for finishing last. But this is the problem, right? And this is it. Why should Tottenham go out and do what's necessary to win 2 domestic trophies? For me, I lived on it. It's the only trophy that I've seen Tottenham win. And I remember the day clear as day in 2008 when Jonathan Woodgate headed it in. But this is the point. This is sort of past the sort of Ange in and Ange out topic for the second. But the problem is that's where, as a football club, we've gone missing, because finishing 5th above 6th is financially better for the football club than it is to win a domestic double.
True.
Well, Jose, I haven't heard you say one word, and you've been here for a minute, buddy. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Good. Nice to see everyone on.
I think your mic is up.
Quiet, mate.
I think your mic is up.
Sorry.
There we go.
It's not. I'm fine. It's nice to see everyone on the panel. Nice to see you, Jacob, Kuva, Prime, Perchy. Welcome back, as I said earlier. Yeah, I was listening to what people had to say, and I thought, you know what? I heard what someone said about the Mourinho situation, about Mourinho, that the fans accepted it. I don't think the fans accepted it. I think we were incensed by it. But
I saw your comment in the chat about that. Yeah,
we were incensed by it because then Ryan Mason took over in the cup final against Man City. I think the fans were incensed by it, but there was nothing we could do because the board had made that decision, you know. And at the end of the day, we ended up losing that final. I'll go back to it again. Percy touched on it a little bit, but other people said it as well. When we won the League Cup in 2008, you win a trophy and you expect that's the start of something, you know, that you push on. You do something to better yourselves because you've now got a trophy. We didn't do nothing to better ourselves from 2008 when we won that. Yeah, we went out and bought a couple of good players, but we didn't sprinkle the stardust around the team to grow that team.
He went and sold all of Juande Ramos. I'm not saying they're defending Juande Ramos. The start of that 2008, 2009 season was awful. But he lost. Didn't he lose Robbie Keane, Dimitar Berbatov? I want to say there was somebody else as well.
But the thing is that we didn't. So what I'm saying is that we didn't move on from winning that trophy. As a club, we should have brought in more players,
Agreed.
You know, and strengthened from a position of strength of winning a trophy. Strengthen again, push on again. It's the same as you go to when we reached the Champions League final. We lost the Champions League final. It was a toss of a coin, that final for me. But at the end of that season, we should have sprinkled stardust and made the group of players that we had stronger to go again. Not necessarily in the Champions League, but to go again in the other cups and the league and whatever. And we just don't seem to ever do it. And, you know, in all honesty, we do spend money. We do spend money at Tottenham. There's no way we don't spend money. We do spend money at Tottenham, but we just seem to spend it poorly. We just seem to spend it badly.
Speaking of poorly, there's some pussy in the back that's trying to act like he's Colin Sievers and he's not. You fucking pussy. Show me your face, you ugly son of a bitch. Or get the fuck out of here. Jose, Jose, continue.
Just in case.
You know, see, it's real quick. I just say, hey, it's okay if you don't want to be on camera. Just show me your face real quick. I have Josh Pavitt in the back. He showed me his face. Hi, Josh. But Colin comes in as Colin's like, Jacob, I'm not scared of you. Jacob wants to suck Ange. And I'm like, well, maybe that is Colin. Colin might say that, like, oh, Jacob wants to suck Ange. Okay, Colin. And then I'm like, show me it's you real quick. Weird question, bruv. That doesn't sound like Colin. Jacob, stop being a pussy and let me on. Yeah, you clearly you're not Colin, you fucking bitch. Your mother would be ashamed of you, you fucking loser. But sorry, Jose, continue.
Jacob's on one. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm on one, bro. These fans have pissed me off. I've been pushed off the edge, motherfucker, rolling downhill, and guess what? Everybody can catch it. But Jose, I'm sorry. Continue, buddy.
So yes, I was just picking points on what people were saying, and then also I think you caught me on another show, Jacob, and I think you've heard what I've had to say about Ange already. For me, at the end of the day, I just don't. All I see at Tottenham and all I've seen, we've always been a yo-yo club. I've supported the team for 49 years. We've always been a yo-yo club, and we sprinkled some stardust, got some trophies in the 80s and 90s, but at the end of the day, all we do is we do the same thing. Since this board have come in at Tottenham, we just do the same thing all the time. And we go, and once we show discontent for managers, the managers end up going. And we start the cycle all over again, bring another manager in. When we show discontent, the manager will go. And I quite agree with someone on the panel said earlier, and I said this on the show the other night, that I think that if you're unhappy about something at the stadium, instead of if you're really unhappy and it's towards the board and not the manager, then make yourself heard, sing your songs towards the board or whatever, so the board are clear that you're against them and not the manager. Because you start booing or calling the manager out, then that's when the board will act again, and we start the cycle all over again. So I think that if people are generally pissed off with the board, then let the board know, and not the manager. Because once you start booing the manager, you start the cycle all over again. And for me, he was given a 4-year contract for me. And I said all along, I don't want to start all this all over again. I'd rather him see his contract out or as good as bring players in, change the culture of the club, change the mentality. And if the club then has to be passed on to somebody else or another manager that is passed off in good hands with a healthier squad than what we probably had when he first came. You've got Klopp's coming to Liverpool. Slot's coming to Liverpool. But Slot's coming to Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp left him a gold mine of a squad there. He didn't have to buy any players this season and stuff because he's left him a really good group of players and in a really healthy state. So Slot's walked in and he's gone about his business. He hasn't had to work it. Where at Tottenham, whoever you bought in, whether it was Slot or whether it was
Big up Brian,
Ange Postecoglou or anybody else, the squad, the team needed work. It needed changing.
But what do we do, Jose, though? We went in and we basically spent a chunk of our budget on a £40 million kid. Not knocking him, but we spent our bulk of our budget on a kid, right? Where you look at and go, we went into 4 competitions. I don't know if my thing's bugging out a bit, but we went into 4 competitions.
Your video's just a little laggy, but your audio's fine.
With 3 centre halves. And do you know what I mean? You're right. I agree with you, like in that sense. Listen, as I say to you, like guys, I've always said, I'm not sitting there saying, I want the manager gone. Do I want him sad? I'm kind of Ange. I don't really care kind of feeling at the moment. I don't really care if he stays or if he goes. I would, for example, if he gets sacked tomorrow, I'm not going to be sitting there crying that he's been sacked. But equally, I'm not going to cry if he's still managing for the Man City game, vice versa. But you're right. Like I agree. Like we didn't bulk the squad where we needed to. We didn't buy correctly, and we kind of seemingly bought for long-term investment, not improving the squad, if that makes sense.
Well, real quick, big up Ben Kaufman, member for 18 months, the longest standing member of United Spurs of America, and I would say the longest standing member of the hole in my heart that can only be filled with pancake batter. How about that? And how about Brian Daigle? We are joined by Spurs royalty. He's back home, I believe, right? You were in the UK. You were at the game with Leo, and I saw that video. It was very great to see you hanging out, all having a good time. The hugs made me feel like I was there. But first of all, how are you doing, buddy? And second of all, talk to me about your opinion on Ange Postecoglou.
So first of all, big up to everyone in the chat and everyone on the screen. Jacob, it's been a while, buddy. It's been a hot minute. Kuva, it was only like I seen you about half an hour ago, and it's always a pleasure to see Perchy, one of my right-hand guys on the panel, and see him back on. First of all, yeah, you're right. I'm back in Toronto. I arrived Wednesday. I stuck to what I said, Jacob. I was in Tottenham, but I refused to go into the ground. I refused to go in because of my principles, and you know how I stand on the ownership and everything. It got to such a point that I got told that they show it in the bricklayers and LTs in bars on dodgy streams. So I was like, okay, I'll go there with a few lads that came to see me. They weren't showing it, so I ended up in my local, the Coaching Horses, watching it on an iPhone with 6 people around the table. It was magical stuff. It was magical stuff. Watching it on an iPhone. I had a chance to go in, but I was just like, nope. I've said I'm not going into that ground, and I won't. Listen, what I will say with this, Jacob, I am as much Ange in as I am Levy out.
So that's a whole hell of a lot.
That I mean, if you want to give it that you probably couldn't get more Ange in, could you? Really? Listen, the way I look at it, I don't care what manager it is. We need to give a manager time. A manager needs to be given time. The 3 managers we've given time for, Martin Jol, look what he almost achieved at the start of everything, sacked horrifically. Then you look at Harry Redknapp, went on to do well, got us into the top 4 the first time, ended horrifically. And of course, Mauricio Pochettino. And they're the 3 managers that had a long time to try and get something over the line. I don't know how many times we can sit here after 2 years and say, right, manager out, and have no success. And they go, do you know what, let's get another manager in for 2 years just to say manager out, to do it again and again. The win now, the counter-attacking, the defending, the attack. Enough is enough. All these clubs that go on to win things give their manager time. All of them. And there's fans like myself that crave and demand winning a trophy and want us to be successful. Every time we sack a manager, we're starting from ground zero again. Because this manager needs time to get the players in to play. So, yes, don't get me wrong. Ange has a few things that I'd like to see him tweak, improve, do whatever. But why do we not give a manager a chance? Why do we give him 18
Can I ask a question, mate?
You can ask me as many as you want, Perchy. This is my opinion as well. Listen,
No.
I just wanted to pick. There was just on the other side.
I just know there was just a part that you mentioned there that I just wanted to pick on. When you said about if let's just say for whatever happens tomorrow we sack Ange Postecoglou. Hypothetically, it's not going to happen, but let's just say. Are you saying that because you said about bringing in a manager then starting again? Do you think that we've got a core of a squad that we've got at the moment that can say we had a new manager that came in tomorrow, let's pick whoever you want, it doesn't really matter for this conversation, but a new manager comes in, can't get better with what we've got. Because I think we've got a good core at our team, but I don't think we've got a great team. I don't think we've got an sensational team. I think we've got a good core though.
The problem is, and you know this just as well as me, is every single time Spurs let go of a manager, they hire a manager with a completely different philosophy.
That's a different conversation, which I think is a joke. Yeah.
So when Liverpool get rid of a Klopp, they bring in a Slot. There's no matter what you look at Liverpool down in their history. I'm picking Liverpool as a prime example. Apart from Houllier and Roy Hodgson, every single manager is let's play attacking football. So when they come in, they may not have the exact players they want, but they have a nucleus of right. These players play in a formation or a system that I can use. We chop, we change. We chop, we change. And the sad thing is, if you want to go with what you said, if Ange Postecoglou was sacked tomorrow, if people think Tottenham Hotspur are going to go hire a big fish as a manager, a win now with like a Conte or a Mourinho, they're not coming.
I don't think we need.
Then you look at Southgate or Potter. Potter's been out of work for 2 years. Southgate, he's available. Not saying he'd come. He's available. Everyone that wanted Ange out, if we went and hired Gareth Southgate, they'd then be slated. Oh my God, we got Southgate. What the?
I get your
point.
A
manager needs time. We need a manager. Everyone wants Tottenham to be successful. You may disagree, or you may completely believe, like myself, that the owners are. Nothing changes until these people, and I'm choosing my words carefully, until these people change. You could look at it in any way. Any manager that comes in.
Brian, real quick.
Jacob. Go on, bro.
You don't have to watch your language here. I say whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want. So you are allowed to as
love-
well. I want everyone to keep the same energy I keep, because I go on people's channels and sometimes I say fuck, shit, balls, tits, ass, whatever. And I apologize. So I appreciate the courtesy, but no need. Shoes off at the door, but you're allowed to put your feet up.
Yeah, I know what happens if I start swearing. Then I get like Gordon Ramsay with Tourette's, and then I'll go insanely nuts. Listen, I just think honestly, if you look back at all these managers that have done well in Premier League era, haven't come in and just gone, apart from Mourinho, who obviously had all the money to come in with, they need to be given time. How many times do we need to say, right, after 2 years, we've sacked the manager, brought in another one? How many times has that worked?
Did Nuno need time?
The only one you can say that's worked, and it's going to be stupid what I say, but to me, it worked because he won a trophy. Is Juan de Ramos.
Yeah.
He came in, took over Martin Jol. The very reason I'm leaving out is the way that man was sacked.
Yeah.
I love that man. I adore that man. He comes in. Obviously, he went on to win the Carabao Cup. He was there. He was the manager for the 5-1 thumping of the filth. So all good. He won a trophy. He got it over the line. But then, obviously, the next season, eight games, 2 points. Failure. He's gone. The only manager that's got us over the line from 2 months, 2 years, has been Juan de Ramos in my eyes, because he won a trophy.
But Brian, there will always be a caveat about. I know you're saying about giving a manager time, but if Ange goes and loses 6 games on the bounce, like you've got to objectively consider like changing the manager, right? I get your premise and I get your point, but there's always going to be a parameter where you go, hang on a minute, we're in trouble here. We're losing week in, week out here, right? Do you get my point? I'm not suggesting
if a manager loses 6 games on the bounce, doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah,
there's trouble.
That's my point, right? Yeah.
There's trouble.
But we're like, I don't even feel like at any point I've been anywhere close to that. But real quick, big up Jordan. Thanks for the super chat. Says sub count jumped up a bit. Big up Jacob. Thank you so much. I just updated it. And thank you for your financial contribution. Real quick, do hit a like, subscribe on the channel if you haven't or don't. It's really your fucking choice. It's your world. You live in it, not me. So sorry, Brian. I think I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. No, I was about to say, listen, I watch a lot of Spurs YouTube. I don't always come in the comments. I've seen what everyone's doing. Jacob, listen, your passion and defending Ange, I love it. I love it. Do I sometimes agree with everything you say? No, but this is the thing. And I think when Kuva came on, because that's when I started watching, when Eugene was on, just as I was doing the dishes, Kuva said something that was absolutely spot on. And I think one of the greatest things I've heard recently, when he said, just because people are Ange out or Ange in, people will think it's the same reasons. People have different reasons for thinking in and out. Jacob, you and me are very aligned. We are very aligned. I have never turned on the manager, will not turn on the manager, because I stand on my principles that the only way something changes at this football club is when that man at the top finally pisses off and I throw the biggest transatlantic party you've ever seen. Nothing changes. We keep
and that's
going
kind of why I've always felt
ticket,
that way too, is because it's with the one of the notions I've heard a lot is Ainge spent 400 million on these players and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well, if you genuinely believe that, then you believe Jose said, yeah, let me spend X amount on Joe Rodon, X amount on Gedson Fernandez, X amount on whatever other fucking loser, Doherty. Do you think he wanted Doherty?
This is the biggest gripe I've got with how this club is run. And it's a case of every manager that is coming through the front door, whether it be Jose Mourinho, whether it be Conte, whether it be Ange, whether it be AVB, Harry Redknapp, you name it. Every single manager under the ENIC regime has been set up to fail and fail miserably. All these players that we brought in, barring Brendan Johnson, I don't think a single one of them are Ange Postecoglou signings.
Timo Werner was. Timo Werner.
No, Timo Werner wasn't. Timo Werner wasn't. It's been confirmed that it was a Daniel Levy cheap alternative signing.
Said it. We've got to be. It can't be. Ange said it publicly. He said.
Yes, but do you honestly think
OJ also said he didn't do it publicly, but we know the truth.
Because do you know?
Do you think Ange is going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, it wasn't my signing, it was Daniel Levy's for PR-related reasons"? He's not going to slate the ball because he's the same fate.
The one thing about this though, and Brian knows full damn well I ain't going to sit there and defend Daniel Levy at all for anything. Why would the one player isn't a Daniel? Why would Daniel Levy want to pay 160 grand?
Okay, look, let me come in on this because
hang on. Let me finish my point.
Well, you interrupted Josh, so I felt it was just fine if I stepped on there too.
I just wanted to raise the point though, because the thing is what I hear what I do hear a lot is when it goes well, when it does go in well, this is an Ange player. Like for example, when I hear a lot of. I'm not saying anyone here is, but I hear a lot of it. Well, Van der Ven was an Ange signing. Yeah, I do agree. Van der Ven is, because
I don't even think it was.
I do, 100%. He's exactly an Ange player, whatever that means.
I think that's what the data pointed us to for a moment, sure. But we were in for him and Tapsoba, and they were both different profiles. So I don't think that they were like the. For me, and this is very simple, and I just look at past behaviors to know what current behaviors, why they're there or how they got there. And us loaning a shit player to stop a gap is always been Levy. Clement Longley comes to mind. I could keep going, but my point with Timo Werner specifically is everyone's operating off of the loan deal that we signed him to last year. Notice when we re-signed him on another loan, what happened was the release clause was less than 50%. You cannot tell me that Levy went in and said, I'll pay 100% of his wages. I guarantee he got that wage structure down or it wouldn't have happened. And that's why it happened so quick, because Leipzig was happy to get him off. When the financials come out, hang on real quick. When the financials come out, we will know for sure. But everyone operating under the assumption of what they believe to be fact is just, that's the same thing like with Ange's post-game quotes and stuff that people run with and get so upset with. I feel like, remember there was a question asked. He's not just fucking giving a monologue like a goddamn theater play. He's literally answering a question. But back to Timo Werner, the club. I'm sorry?
No, but my point is with the Timo Werner one, what worries me is don't play him. Go and play Mikey.
You're right. This is where I blame him. This is where he gets blamed. Every result where Timo Werner was a part of it, I blamed him. When we were losing for 88 minutes versus Coventry, I remember in my head, I was like, this is on Ange. He started Timo. He started Frazier. This is what he did. Like, so yes, to a degree, I believe Ange does have to hold smoke. When you play him, you absolutely have but to say we know that we are paying 175 grand or whatever it is a week for Timo Werner, I just don't think that's true. That's how the clause was last year.
Can I say, right? Because the thing with Ange and what makes him different to Mourinho and Conte, he'll be nice about it, but he won't
I don't feel this is my point.
He won't come out bluntly and just speak against what's going on. Ange will continue to play Werner, but when you look at Conte and you look at Mourinho, if you sign players for them that they don't necessarily want at all, they won't play them. Conte didn't play Jed Spence. Mourinho barely
100%.
played Joe Rodon. And but the thing is, Conte and Jose, they will publicly speak out. That big, a popular press conference.
What did Jose say about Joe?
Jose Mourinho is Jose Mourinho. I don't think there's anything that Jose Mourinho says that you can take out of context.
No, Jacob, I said with Mourinho that he wasn't playing Rodon as much. Because it clearly wasn't.
He didn't play him at all, really, yeah.
But
the thing about Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte that a lot of people seem to forget is they are not afraid to speak their minds. Jose Mourinho has been
but they're at that degree, right, where they can. If Ange came out and started trashing on players, they'd be like, who the hell are you from Australia? What they already say about him. But Jose Mourinho's the special one. Antonio Conte's Jose Mourinho in his prime. So go ahead, Percy.
Can I just quickly close my point when Timo Werner was mentioned, and I've been wanting to say it. All you have to do is look at who we were linked with before we signed Timo Werner in Chiesa. Right? Chiesa could have come through the door for £15 million, but he wanted £160,000 wages. Levy was not willing to pay the £15 million, offered a ridiculously lowball offer, which they rejected. Liverpool go and get him, pay the price, get him for 160k, and then you bring in Timo Werner, who we're assuming he's being paid full wages at 160 grand a week. There's no contract tying.
That's my point. I want to.
It's a Levy signing.
That's my point. Hold on, Percy. That's the point I wanted to get at. I don't believe because Ange doesn't strike me as someone who is incompetent. I don't believe he wanted Werner. However, what I do believe is he's got a short list of certain players that fit within the profile, and Werner is someone who is bottom of that list. That's cheap, that fits the profile. That's why they got Werner.
I think there's a big middle ground, and I just want to sort of touch on what I think it was Jacob that said, made a really, really good point, was about what Ange can't do necessarily what a Conte and Jose would do. I think there's a middle ground.
He's not the same
right?
guy. He's not going to do it. That's my point.
But I think there's a middle ground, right? There's going both ways on it, right? There's going out publicly and saying, I'll use the Jed Spence as the great example. Jed Spence was signed by the club. That was basically what Conte said. He came out and said the club wanted him. Wasn't
the
my
club
choice.
and he also said the club likes to do these signings.
Yeah.
As in, we like to do an Archie Gray type of signing.
Okay. But equally, what Ange has done, and this is one of the biggest problems I have with him, and why I'm kind of at that point where I don't know what this guy's about, is he comes out and says, I sign off on everyone. He doesn't have to say that. He decided to say that. Whatever we want to say, he decided to say that. We have to hold that accountable.
Yeah, I'm a daddy of a family too. I'll protect my own too, my little chicklins. That's how he sees it. I'm a little chicklins. He gonna put himself out there, take all the blame, absolve it from the players. That's something Jose and Conte wouldn't do.
No, hang on. But he doesn't have to say anything. That's the point.
It doesn't. You're right, but it's PR. If he doesn't, he defaces his own image, mate.
Sorry, let Perchie finish. I just want to hear Perchie's.
But that's my point. That's my point, though. It is PR, and unfortunately, he's pulling the wagon of the owners. Look, I will concede 1 point.
That's fair. If you want to blame him for that, I'm fine with that.
I will concede 1 point. If the signings were made by Daniel Levy and the club, not the manager, fine. Don't say anything then. Don't sit and take accountability for it. Sit there and say, you can give a very, I always call it a Switzerland answer. Be a neutral. Give a Switzerland answer. Just say.
But again, this is just kind of nitpicking another man's like words and actions. I don't like that either.
No. But my point is there's a difference, right? When a manager comes out and says publicly more than once, every player that signed through this door was signed by me. I signed it off. I wanted them.
Yeah, because they're like, who signed Timo? He's shit. Who's at fault? And he's like, I'm good with it. So that's what it was.
But don't be that guy. My point, this is where, like, for me, this is the problem. This is where I feel like this whole debate gets really misconstrued. We want to believe some of what Ange says, but then we don't believe the other stuff he says. Yeah, when it goes right, we believe what he says. When it doesn't necessarily go right, he's just towing the party line. And we've got to be very balanced with it all. And that's what
I do feel like I'm pretty balanced with it.
No, I'm not saying you're not.
I've got a question to.
I do have to go in a minute, but yeah, carry on.
That's what I was going to say. I wanted to caveat your question just then.
Yeah.
So we've seen the fate of what happened when Conte spoke out about the club and how it's run. If Ange Postecoglou does exactly the same thing, not only will he have the fan base on his back, but the ball will sack him. Do you agree, yes or no?
So repeat the question. Sorry, it bugged out.
So we saw what happened to Conte when he was verbally public about how he thought the club was being run. He was sacked, right? If Ange Postecoglou does that, knowing that Ange Postecoglou hasn't come from the same kind of branch as Conte has, not only will he have the fan base on his back, but it also lose his job as well. Do you agree with that?
Agreed. I didn't say for him.
Do you not think that maybe he's not saying these things to protect his own image?
That's what I was going to get.
Because the thing is for me, look, mate, I agree with your point. I actually do agree with your point. But my point is what he's done is I think he's damaged his own reputation in a sense by putting his hands up and taking all full responsibility.
Well, to be fair, people said he ruined his reputation when he yelled at that news dude on Australian TV. I liked it. I like everything he says. When he talks after the matches, he validates how I feel. And the only time I was ever questioning him, he shut me up, but with his actions and not his words. So again, at every turn, I've been like convinced. He's convinced me at every turn.
You know what? There's a really simple way of settling all of this, and that is, don't think about who signed him. Don't think about whether it's a club signing or whether the manager asked for them. Just look about, does the manager actually want them? And the only way you can do that is, do they play that player?
Agreed.
That's all you need to really worry about, isn't it?
I agree.
Yeah, but Percy, I think what you're saying, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because
right, I agree.
People will say they want the manager to come out and like be vocal and, like you said, not back it if it's not your player. But when Conte does it, or when Mourinho has done it at previous jobs, people complain that like they're ruining the dressing room and the harmony and being toxic. But when Ange,
that isn't ruining the harmony though.
It's trying to be but the thing is, like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, regardless. If Ange did,
I think any manager that comes to this football club is damned if they do and damned if they don't. I don't think it makes a difference.
100%.
Yeah, but Percy,
100%.
that's my point. That's my point. So comparing what all three managers have done, regardless, they're screwed either way.
So not a single person here knows the contract, how that contract with Timo Werner is written down on paper.
But mate,
the loan contract could state that he's guaranteed first team football at some point, because if they don't, RB Leipzig can then terminate the loan. We have to pay the termination fee anyway.
Leipzig aren't terminating. They've got the best deal in the house.
No, I get that. But at the same time, I would rather have Timo Werner on the bench to come on and kill 2 or 3 minutes at the end of every game when the game's been put to bed than have no option there at all.
Mate, I would rather you on the bench. And I'm being deadly serious. No, I'm being serious. And the final point I will make, and I will stop making it about me. I am back. Woo, hi guys. Hi,
it's not about you. You're providing a good counterpoint. I'm enjoying the discussion, whether I agree with you or not. I think it's a good. I like that you're here providing, because everyone else except Kuva's, Kuva I think is Ange out right now, but you're Ange who gives a shit. And I think that's
I'm at that
more
point.
I get that too. I think Kuva is probably fair enough aligned with who gives a shit, Ange who gives a shit. But for me, I do this. This is the second time I've done this show. It's gone over 2 hours. My wife probably hates me by now, but I try to at least provide the opportunity to hear this because I don't want to just be saying all the things. These motherfuckers in the chat all heard me say this every week. I'm like, God damn it, it ain't on Ange. It's on these losers. 35 shots, one goes in off an own goal, and I'm supposed to believe that that's somehow Ange Postecoglou's fault.
No, I don't. I think it's a very nuanced debate, and I think that's the bit that happens. It's not one problem. I think the problem with this football club is not solely based on one thing. I think it's a collective. I think a big bulk of that is for a friend that if you say his name, we all burst up in flames. We're not allowed to say his name around here. But yeah, no, I think that's one of the biggest problems. I think that it's Daniel Levy. Brian's mate. Oh. Brian's bestie.
I saw him nodding along. And I was like, maybe it's Daniel Levy.
I see Brian Daigle's fingers already twitching. They're already twitching.
Yeah, it's all going off. But no, look, I think. Look, as I said, I think my point here is as I said, if Ange gets sacked tomorrow, would I care? No. If he's still here, would I care? Not really. Again, I'm very much like that. I think there's a lot of tactical issues. If we're going to talk about just the manager, there's a lot of tactical issues I have. I did say I was meant to be going, and I'll finish on this last point and run away and let you all talk. But yeah, I think tactically there's a lot of problems. Defensively, I think we defend like a Sunday league team. I don't care what. I heard in the summer that we've got 4 of the best defenders in the world. And I'm going, whoa, hang on a minute, slow down a bit. I think we defend tactically inept. But I'll leave it on that. And I'll run away and leave it.
I'm actually going to do that. I want to get everyone's final thoughts because I do got to wrap this up. Lest Jake Paul versus Titan be not the only headline event fight tonight in this household.
No, you got Serrano versus Taylor is the far more important fight.
Yeah, Jacob, it's going to be 11:30ish Toronto time that Jake Paul Tyson kicks off. So
it's like 9:30. Yeah, I figured it would probably be, the event started 30 minutes ago. So I was like, at least going to be 2-3 hours before the big boys come out. And boxing, they love taking their sweet fucking time on the walk. Yeah. You take 30 minutes on the walk. Like, get your fucking ass in the ring. But anyway, Perchi, thank you so much for joining. Perchi will be live on Monday, so make sure you go check out Perchi's channel. You're a mod. You could plug it into the thing.
Can one of the mods do it for me? That'd be lovely. If you could go over, that'd be lovely. And just smash on the likes on the thing. I'll put the stream up.
Perchi, what is the name of the new channel?
Huh? Perchi. Do you like it?
No, what is the name of the new channel?
Perchi.
I love it. I personally love it.
I'll let everyone know. I'll break it. I'm doing everything myself. It is literally. I'm not going to be on panel shows. I'm here because I'm nice. And Jacob begged me to come on and give a debate. I'm joking. He did not. I actually asked to come on. But no,
well, I appreciate it nonetheless.
I'm doing a lot of things just on my own. Just a bit of it at the moment. A bit of spare time at the moment. So yeah,
drop me WhatsApp. Subscribe. There's loads of Perchies, and they're not you.
It's
so
I know the channel is at Perchy YT. I think it is.
Perchy YT.
At Perchy YT is the thing. At Perchy was taken. Yeah, that's the one.
No, I like it. Not even just Perchy, but literally just quote Perchy. I think that's great.
If I stop my camera, that's the logo.
Yeah, I'm subscribed already.
Perchy.
Brilliant. All right. Well, big up, man. Thanks for coming in. And Ange in on your way out. There you go, little Ange. Here, wait. Yeah. Say bye to the kangaroo.
Bye, kangaroo.
Bye, kangaroo. Okay, there we go.
Big
Kuva,
up,
you're next.
Everyone in the chat, make sure you smash the like button to this guy, man. Come on. Peace out.
I appreciate that. Kuva, you're next, buddy. Because you got to go get ready for the fight as well. I got to get ready. We all got to get ready, but I do want to go around the clock and get everyone's last opinions. And if anyone else after Kuva has to go, like in a hurry, feel free. But Kuva, my friend, you love Ange Postecoglou yet?
If we win against City, of course I will.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. You know what? It's like you know, you remind me of Kuva as a fan, and it's great because there's a place for it in life. You're like that hot chick that only hit me up though whenever I'm up, but when I'm down and I'm like, hey boo, she's like, fuck you. And I don't even know you. She ghosts you. But then whenever it's like, oh, I'm doing well, life is good, she's like, hey boo. It's like, oh, okay, sure, okay. So Kuva, big up, you sexy beast. But so if we win versus City, you'll love him again then.
I'll just leave it on what I said earlier. I'm at a point now where I'm fed up with listening to the words, so I could have seen him walk the walk. I just want the results there. And if Ange wins a trophy this season, I am going to be one happy clapper. That's for sure. So that's what it's all about for me. Win a trophy, entertain me, I'm happy. And big up to the kangaroo. I think they are delicious in burgers.
Okay. No, this is, if I had a quicker finger, I would have played a clip while you tried to spread your... Save the kangaroos. Don't eat the kangaroos. Love the kangaroos.
You are rocking one hell of a look there, Jacob. You got the tough Texan gang member sort of thing with all the tats and then the stuffed animal under your arm. It's special.
It's man, kangaroos. Come on. They've been my favorite animal since I was a wee little lad.
Anyway, thanks for having me on. Enjoyed the debate. It's good. You should do more of these. You don't have to be at each other's throat, do we? So big up everyone. See you later, and be nice to each other. And if you can't, at least try.
It costs nothing to be kind to yourself and to be kind to others. Big up Kuva for that. And Jose, I'm going to go to you next, because I haven't heard you speak in a while, and I want to get your final thoughts and what you're looking forward to, or whatever the fuck you want to say. I don't really have a question.
All I'm going to say, I've heard what people have just said, right? And for me, and I said this the other night, right? To me, Ange says that he signs off on all the players. Ange has got a profile of player that he wants. He gives that to Langer. Langer goes away, does the data analytics, brings him back. 3 players, says, right, I've got Odebert, Donald Duck, and Mickey Mouse. Which one do you want? So he says, I'm going to have Odebert. And then he says, I signed off on Odebert. So for me, he is signing off on the players, but he's signing off on the players that are given to him. Because none of them are his players, so to speak. He's just giving the profile, they go find it. He then signs the one that he wants of the 2 or maybe 3 that he gets given. I'm a bit, like I said earlier, I'm behind. You watched me the other night anyway, Jacob, and I see you commenting when I was on another person's show. For me, I don't want the same rinse repeats cycle that we get with managers.
Hey, big up! Hey, you were standing strong. The wind was blowing, the water was flowing, and Jose was like a goddamn post that's been cemented in Crete since the ancient Greek times. They try to pose hypotheticals. You said exactly what I would have said. I reject your hypothetical world. Give me Ange Postecoglou. I love that.
So for me, he's been given a contract. I want to see another transfer window. I want to see what he can do. Yeah, I don't want to see him lose 6 games on the spin. I don't think Tottenham will lose 6 games on the spin. And, you know, as I said, ever since I've supported this club, for 49 years, we've been always up and down. But we've had a bit of sprinkled stardust since I've supported them where we've won trophies. But that was many, many, many years ago. And at the end of the day, giving him a 4-year contract, let's see what he can do. And if you're going to vent your frustration as a fan, instead of booing the manager, and let's get the manager sacked because we're booing the manager, boo the board. Boo the board. Make it clear when you're at the stadium that you're booing the board. You're not booing the manager.
Jose, I'll say one thing about that, and I've said it for months and months and months, and Josh will be able to back me up on this, and I give you my word and guarantee you this. The very second you hear, get out of our club, Daniel Levy, get out of our club, or we want Levy out, the next day Ange Postecoglou loses his job. So as much as I want to hear that, heavenly music, the second that happens, what I don't want to happen happens, and Ange pays.
If you're singing though in the stadium, we want Ange out, or Ange, you don't know what you're doing, you know, stuff like that. That tells me that you're going against the manager. But if you're then singing about,
you know what I heard them singing the last few games? I heard them singing, "Oh, Ange Postecoglou." Come on.
If you're singing then against the board, for me, the board can't be stupid. They must know that the fans are singing against them, and they're not singing against the manager. So why would you go and sack the manager if you're singing against the board? I don't understand it. But
that's why there's protection. What happens is, as soon he's hired Lange, he's hired Munn, he's hired this, they're all shields, they're all protection, and the manager is that. And as soon as that layer of protection has gone from him, it's like, oh my God, the attention's come my direction. Bang, he acts. Okay, and then we get told, well, wait, it's another project. We got to give this guy time. It's a philosophy. We need to be patient. You have no idea how much I want to hear Levy out saying every single week, every single minute, every single game. But the only one that suffers from that is anyone but Levy. So you're right. I'd love to hear it, but I want Ange to stay and prove everyone wrong, and hopefully prove people like myself and Jacob right, and other people. Do you know what? If it's wrong, and I'd rather Ange Postecoglou had the 4 years, it didn't work, and say, do you know what? Tottenham Hotspur gave a manager 4 years. They actually gave the manager his time, and then if the blueprint don't work, then Ange had more than enough time to do it.
Yeah.
But doing it halfway through a 4-year contract, it's like, well, you've only given him half the time to get the job done.
You only gave him 50% of the chance that you tried to give. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not right. And like I said, unfortunately, the very second Levy out gets chanted, Ange loses his job. It's as simple as that.
I wish Kuva was here. We have a West Bromwich fan in the chat, and Kuva was talking nice about Sam Allardyce. So that's very nice.
A Baggies fan. Right. But I was getting told that at the game on Saturday Sunday at Ipswich, I was getting told that they were singing Levy out in the stadium.
Well, I think there's always ripples, but what I do know, and I've had it confirmed by 16 different people, is as typical, when the half-time whistle went and the full-time whistle up, a certain owner instructed the music to be as loud as possible and a lot louder than normal to drown everything out. Because that's the tactics we do. We'll turn volumes up and not let people have their say. It's what he does.
Oh, but Brian, Daniel Levy's got a thick skin. He ignores all the criticism. Fuck off. Fuck off. You can fucking hear us. You know what we want. Set up and fuck off.
I will say, like Jacob was saying and like Josh was saying about the Timo Werner and Ange coming out and say it, and people believe it. Did everyone believe Daniel Levy when he said every single penny goes back into this club?
Of course not.
Because he came out and said it.
No, I don't think anyone believed that. There's no way, because that's like OJ Simpson. He's like, yeah, the glove didn't fit, and his hand's like this when he's trying to put it on. He's like, yeah, it doesn't fit.
People choose what they believe. I don't think. Do I think Ange Postecoglou okayed Werner? Yes. Do I think
Sure.
As Postecoglou sat down
he's
to
guilty
Levy
of
and said,
accepting,
"Go get me
sure.
Werner"? Do I think Ange Postecoglou sat down there and said, "Go get me Timo Werner again"? That's who I want as my number one person that you bring in. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. But he came in.
No, I agree with you.
And
Yes.
we're now trying to cut his load short. And he's hopefully going back in January.
In January,
Is
yeah.
Ange going to get the praise then for going, right, I've realised the player ain't bad. He's not fit for purpose, so I'm ending his loan. No, he won't get the praise for it. He won't get the praise for it because people will pick and choose what they want to believe, criticise, or praise or whatever. Everyone had a go at him saying, "Oh, Ange okayed it, Ange okayed it." Well, if Ange then says cancel it before it's meant to run out, does he then get the praise going, he finally saw that he's not right for the team and he cut it short rather than dragging it on? He won't.
I think it's a double-edged sword, Brian, isn't it? Because if he terminates Timo Werner's loan and Daniel Levy doesn't give him the financial backing to go and sign another player in that position, fans will say, "Well, you should have kept Timo Werner then." Because that's
I don't think they'll say that. I don't think they'll say that.
You don't think so? Oh,
No.
I don't know.
No, I think for that one he's safe.
Well, I don't know if I'm safe because this show's gone almost an hour over what I told my wife I would be gone. Almost an hour, not quite an hour yet. But Prime, I want to hear from you. Last thoughts, last final thing. You've been quiet for quite some time as well. It was rambunctious. We had a lot of people on panel. I haven't had a lot of people on a panel like that in a long time, so I just kind of didn't know what to do. But Prime, talk to me, baby.
I actually rate Ange. People who don't know I'm a Chelsea fan, so like whether or not people want to listen to what I have to say is what it is. But I actually rate Ange, and I think yes, he does have some there are some tactical flaws and stuff, but ultimately, do I believe that he even has the players to make those tweaks and correct it? No, I don't. If I look at Klopp, for example, when he first got to Liverpool, and how defensively naive they were. As much as that was a tactical issue that Klopp had to make a fix, they also didn't have a quality goalkeeper or a quality centre-back or a defensive midfielder. Once he was able to buy those three players, Alisson, Van Dijk, Fabinho, they then went on to develop one of the best defenses in Europe. And they won the Champions League and the Prem. So I just think Ange really needs players that can adapt to a system. But ultimately the problem is Levy. Because if you sack him, what are the chances that the next guy you bring in will actually be a quality manager?
Well, we did that. We brought in two of what I would regard very great quality managers. They couldn't get it done. The problems that we've seen are problems that I've seen since fucking Jose, Conte, Podge before. It doesn't matter in that regard. So I see Dav says it's just a matter of time. Why waste time? Get rid now. That's your prediction. That's your, Mrs. Cleopatra crystal ball reading that you fucking did. And that's cool. We can all buy a crystal ball on Prime and fucking, I rubbed it and it says, oh, I'm going to win the lottery. My dick's 12 inches long. But guess what? It doesn't matter because that's just your fucking hopeful prediction. So my point is that there's no way to know until you fucking try. And last year was the first time since Pochettino we started and finished the season with the same goddamn manager. I would like to do it again. Let's do that 2 years in a row. That'd be fantastic. Because I've always felt before we brought in Poch was that, and this is kind of my final thoughts to wrap up here too, is that he's going to need at least 4 windows until we start to see what he wants us to look like. And, that's a very patient way to look at it. And I'm not telling anyone to be patient or how anyone should support this team. But the way I see it is you got a bunch of fucking mold in a house. It's going to take time to scrape it off, replace it, cut this part out, figure out what part's salvageable, what part's not. Bro, Eric, he did something Jose Conte couldn't do. He got fucking Eric Dyer out of my club. He got fucking Sanchez out of my club. He's done stuff that, other managers haven't been able to do because of them leadership groups. Now maybe the leadership group will be his ultimate downfall. James Madison's son, Vicario, and now Romero as well. So maybe, but I just see it as I'm willing to suffer now because I've been suffering. So what's the fucking difference? But there's at least the hope of this could fucking turn out well. This could turn out. I've always seen him from the beginning as a transitional manager to take us from ground zero to maybe standing up, not running, not walking, maybe walking, but standing up, because we've been on fucking laying here just getting stomped on for a minute. And I needed somebody to not be like Conte and be willing to fucking his name take a punch like it is right now. Conte's name starts taking a punch. This club, these players, this manager, they don't want the fucking pizza. It's okay. So now we fucking got a guy. He's like, fuck it. I'll stand in front of all these players and in the hopes that I can improve him. But he's obviously not going to play him when he's not doing well. And that's what we saw with Timo Werner. But now we're playing Timo Werner because there's literally no fucking healthy wingers. And again, I just don't think that's his fault, because a fucking manager can only do so much in regards to the front office shit, and a manager can only do so much in regards to on the pitch. The rest it's all the in between that he got to get those players doing it. So that's my opinion. That's my little final spiel. Did anyone else have anything to say before I wrap this up?
Yeah, so
Hi, kangaroo.
yeah, all those people that are Ange out, look at the bigger picture here, right? Because if you go and get rid of Ange, there is not a manager that is available right now of significant quality that comes in and does better than what Ange is doing now. So strap yourself in for the ride, yeah? Because in the words of Ronan Keating, when Daniel Levy's in charge, as Ronan Keating said, life is a roller coaster. You just got to ride it. Yeah?
Well, Josh, it gets worse, buddy, because you've got to remember, if we do sack Ange,
you get Ryan Mason back in the helm.
Well, you're just taking the words out. Everyone's been slating Ryan Mason and his crap, and hopefully he was going to that Belgian club. But if we get rid of Ange, it will probably be he will be temporary manager for the rest of the season. It's like, well, wait a minute, you wanted him to go to Belgium, you wanted him to do this. Now you got. I just don't get it, and I see so many people when he first signed said it's going to take him 4 transfer windows.
Yeah.
When he's
I wasn't alone in that belief as well. I felt like there's plenty of people.
Ange was yesterday, Ange is today, and for the foreseeable, Ange is the future. So
look, I'll give you my true. This is my true feelings on it, and I'll have this as my final say, Jacob. I want him to stay. I want him to succeed. I want him to be backed. I want him to be proven wrong. Oh, sorry, to prove people wrong. But if I am brutally honest with myself, I think within 8 weeks we're looking for a new manager, and that's not what I want. That's not what I want.
That's fair.
I think if we lose to Manchester City, if we lose to Roma, and a bad performance against Fulham, he could be in big trouble. And if we go out to Manchester United in the Carabao Cup, because that will be a cup that I would say is the easiest for us to win. We're already in the quarterfinals. Big teams have gone out. He could be in big trouble, because I think then Levy out starts. Then, and like I said, I do not want this to happen. I want Ange to be able to see out his contract, or at least give until the end of the season, and then we analyse and say, right, this has happened. Here we are, blah blah blah. But I've got a real.
I agree with you though in that sense. Like if we lose versus City and the Europa and the 2 Premier League matches after that, if we don't win those or get 7 points, like 2 wins and a draw, that I could really see, and rightfully so. I don't think anyone would have a problem. I wouldn't be like. I always would question if we're not getting the results. The thing is, like, we get the results, then we have a performance where it's like, we could have just been a little bit better and we would have got the result then too, but we didn't. And so I think it'll be ironed out. But look, I do got to end this. I told my wife 30 minutes ago I was done. But it's been such fucking good conversation. I'm going to do another one of these before the international break is over. So Brian, Jose, Prime, anyone in the chat, you want to come on and you want to fucking talk your shit, I think StreamYard holds maximum 10. 9 or 10, something like that. And so we'll do this again. I did enjoy it very, very much. Let me shout out the sponsors of tonight's episode, and this isn't an episode. This is Pull Up. Pull up. Big up Drula, member for 12 months. Godfrey, a member for 3 months. Moondog. And we got Sean Hurl in here. Ben Kaufman, longest standing United Spurs of America member. Ben Kaufman dropping in with a little love. And Jordan with the final super chat wrapping us up. It's been fantastic. I know I haven't pulled up everybody's chat throughout the show, but you know what? That's what happens when you got like 300 people watching and 9 people on panel. I enjoyed the hell out of it though, because I don't do enough of that. It's mostly just me waffling into the ether, and then I have the chat, and then I'm like, yeah, we converse, and that's
300 people take up your flexing right there.
Well, to be fair, Saeed raided with about 200 of that. So big up Saeed TV for the raid as well. Big up Staffy for joining. Everyone who joined, Eugene, Jonathan, Perchi, Kuva, everybody. I'm sure I'm missing a few, Omar, etc. Big up everybody. And these last few bits, if you haven't liked the video, you probably won't anyway. So I'm just going to say this last bit is for you. All right? I want you to stay blessed. I want you to stay fresh. Up the lads. And come on, you. So wait. Actually, and be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And come on, you, Brian.
And as always, thank you, Jacob. Levy out.
Cheers.
United Spurs of America, with your hosts, Michael and Jacob.
What the fuck was that about, huh? What's up, you fat pig? What, you don't see where you're fucking going?
I wasn't even driving.